Starting with Stephen Browning.
Stephen Browning, we've been talking about him all week. He's adjusted to the conditions. He caught a lot of his fish on a vibrating jig. Been throwing a Senko bait some. Been real versatile this week.
Cliff Prince, Florida guy, knows his way around this kind of fishing for sure.
Yeah, I talked to Cliff a good bit last night. You better watch out for him to make a move this afternoon. He said if I saw a wave of fish come in late in the day, I can catch a 30-pound bag.
We suspect he may have been looking at him a little bit this morning. Dean Rojas has been catching him, especially to finish up day number 2 and catching him pretty good on day number 3 as well. Hadn't jumped a giant yet, though.
He hasn't, but Dean always seems to do good in Florida. He set the record here in Florida, and he's doing well this week.
About our leader after a couple of days of fishing, knocking out 30 pounds plus on day number 2 on the strength of this 5-fish limit right here. Timmy Horton, who absolutely delighted everyone watching Bassmaster Live, us included for sure. On day number 2, we saw him put together that entire winning stringer. Our leader right now, unofficially, is a man who led after day 1 with 31.3 hot defo.
Speaking of versatile, he's been the most versatile angler we've watched all week. He's been throwing top water, he's throwing vibrating jig, he's been sight fishing. I think he's really adjusted well as the conditions have changed.
All right, we're watching the conditions and the changes that are happening other than the conditions out there. People moving around, people changing strategies maybe a little bit at midday. Saw some of that yesterday, but we got some other stuff to report about here in just a few minutes regarding the man who started the day with the lead, Timmy Horton. We understand he has picked up and made a little move.
He has. I'm a little bit surprised that he made a move, but when he made his move, it didn't take very long. He hooked a big fish. Unfortunately, he lost it. Yesterday, didn't lose a fish, which I think was phenomenal. We talked about it quite a bit yesterday. For him to catch 30 pounds and never lose a fish, flipping in that heavy cover, is just unheard of.
All right, our mid-morning report. We're going to catch you up to date. If you're just joining us, thank you for spending some of your Saturday, your valuable weekend with us. Our Toyota midday report's going to start with our leader from day number 1, Ott Defo, getting out there today, and he's caught them steadily in the morning all 3 days.
Yep, a few bigger fish today. Yesterday, he was catching fish after fish on different baits, a lot of top water stuff early on and swimming a jig. Today, I think he's done a great job. He caught some of the top water fish. He's been sight fishing. We saw him dead sticking. We talked about that quite a bit. He's just been doing a good job adjusting to the conditions.
Ott Defo has not been out of the top 1 or 2 or 3 at the lowest during this entire tournament. To hold on that steady in a place that's as unpredictable and quirky and finicky as Lake Okeechobee is a testament to his ability.
When he takes those shoes off, he gets in the ground. It's like the rally cap, but the rally sandals.
He lights it up Tennessee style. People from Tennessee probably didn't like that comment right there, but I'm from Arkansas, so I can say that.
That's right. That's right.
Here we go, Dean Rojas. Now, we saw Dean slide into the background with Timmy Horton knocking him out yesterday. Dean's setting up in that same place today.
He really is. He's gotten dialed into that area, and he's been fortunate today. Every fish that I've seen him set the hook on, he's put in the boat. Unlike Timmy has lost a few fish. It's so key. Yes. You're gonna have days where you put him in the boat and days that you don't when you're flipping that heavy cover. And Dean's been able to put him in the boat today.
Being a guy just like Timmy Horton, if he smells a victory, he's going to be hard to resist. I mean, he's going to do what it takes to get it done. Not one easily dissuaded from his purpose, from his concentration.
And, he's been talking today about the greatest day he's had on the water. I'm sure he'll agree when he set the all-time record not too far from here. And he was talking earlier this morning, this day seems identical to that day so many years ago, but he certainly remembers that day.
That's what we'd seen from Dean earlier this morning, getting it going there. 5 fish. We saw him catch his limit. Now, this fish right here, this is while we were on break, so we missed this one, just showing you this one for the first time. That's been within the past hour. Timmy Horton, certainly the story of yesterday. He hogged all the attention yesterday, and rightfully so, putting together a 30-pound plus bag, and we saw every minute of it.
He came within 6 inches of starting day 3, just like day 1 and 2, putting an 8, 9-pound fish in the boat, but this one, not quite.
Oh, called it 9 pounds, did Timmy Horton.
That's tough. Even with a big lead, you want to put those fish in the boat. They're pivotal fish. And, he's been able to land those almost identical fish, first bite of the morning, the previous 2 days. That one, not so much.
He was able to get 3 other keepers during the course of the morning, but small ones, only about a 5.5-pound limit for Timmy Horton, and not too long ago, he picks it up, backs down the rods, and takes off.
That really surprised me. When we were in break, he made a move from an area that's been so good to him, and I thought, wow, I don't know if I'd have done that. He wasn't at the new area very long at all, hooked up on another good fish, Didn't get it in the boat.
Well, also while we were on break here, our hour and a half midday break here, Stephen Browning was at work. Stephen Browning, who'd been catching them steadily all morning, just like Ott, every day, catching them steadily during the morning, but never getting into anything big. But this changed things up a little bit.
It may be. Maybe. Yeah. Get up here. Watch your jump. Oh yeah, come up here. Come here.
Wow.
Oh,
If you could see his face, there's a smile there, I promise
there, he
you.
pulled it
Oh
down.
my. Huh? How about that? Oh my.
Oh my.
Golly. I'm gonna have to cut that line. Folks, that's a big one. Just kinda, that right there, punched me a ticket to fish on a Sunday right there, man. Holy cow. Jiminy crickets. Come on, oh, he said, hold it up.
This again.
Yeah, buddy's right.
He was smiling to hold that one up.
Tag him out.
Sure.
Let me see.
He was proud
Knuckle by my cameraman. Golly bum, that was huge, man.
Prime example of being versatile. We mentioned Odd, and Stephen has been that way. Stays in the area that he's been all 3 days, but first time I've seen him with a spinning rod in his hand. You know, the first day he caught all his fish basically on a vibrating jig. You had wind. It's so important to have wind with that bait in Florida, and he's just adjusted, done a great job. Those kind of fish that you need to be able to fish on Sunday and have a chance to win on Sunday.
Well,
They entered that
one
as a
turns his day around.
They entered that as a 7-11. Got him up to 14 pounds 3 ounces, so it's more than half his live well.
I love the Jiminy crickets on the big fish. I heard that Jack Wagon earlier this morning when he missed one. Jiminy crickets is when you boat a 7-pounder. Jack Wagon's when you miss a 1 pound.
That's when you miss a 1 pound. That's a good way to put it right there.
Love it.
Stephen Browning bringing it at midday on Lake Okeechobee, day number 3, and like he said, quite likely. I mean,
Probably 6 pounds to 13 pounds. You know, that's Florida fishing right there, though. You get you one more like that, you got 20. Talking about lean back. And then reel, 12-pound gamma line, fluorocarbon line, and a 20-pound gamma torque on the, and a little old bitty 1/8 ounce weight. Who'd have thunk it? Oh man, that was fun. That was fun. And if you noticed, you know, I cut that hook off. If it was kind of in the bottom of its gullet. Now that hook will rust right on out after, you know, a little time. But if you get in there and you get to digging around in that hook, you know, you're probably gonna kill that fish, and that fish right there doesn't deserve to be killed. We need that fish out here swimming around. Thank you, Lord. That was huge. Let's get us another one.
Jumped him up to 5th place unofficially.
yeah, he's in the top 12 for tomorrow. Barring anything crazy happening out there, and you never know. We're on Okeechobee.
It's amazing how few events that you cover on Bassmaster Elite tournaments, a guy can do the same thing for 4 days. It's usually a guy that has to adjust with the conditions each and every day. And, you know, he's done a good job of that with spinning rod in his hand. Who would have thought he'd be throwing that 2 days ago when we were watching him?
Well, we mentioned what Tim Horton's been up to during our 1.5 hour midday break here. We saw him go right to his regular spot, which he did earlier, but then he left, picked it up, and went to this place right here.
I've been talking about the wind throughout the tournament, and Timmy moved. Looked like he made a good move.
Ooh.
Hooked a big fish immediately.
Oh.
He went around on the other side. Oh, geez.
Oh, that was a good one, too.
talk about days like yesterday. Land all of them is rare. But today is bad in the opposite direction. Oh, man. 4 or 5 pounder.
Well, that was at location number 2 for Timmy Horton, and after that incident right there, unfortunate. Well, you saw that big one boil up on that one and then lost him just as quickly, and he is back where he began his day, where he finished his big day yesterday. What do you think about that move?
I think it was a good move had he landed that fish. You know, yesterday, every fish he hooked up on, he landed. If he made that move, catch that 5 pounder, put it in the boat like he was landing them yesterday, yeah, he's a genius. He didn't do anything any different than he did yesterday, like he mentioned. Yeah. Today's a different day, and I talk about momentum a lot, Tommy, and it swings one way or the other. Yesterday, he could do no wrong. He didn't forget how to land them from yesterday.
No.
He just had a couple bad breaks.
That's a good point.
But I don't blame him for not leaving the area that's been so good to him for long, because I truly think this afternoon he's going to have the opportunity to catch a couple big fish like he did yesterday. Now, will he be able to put them in a boat like he did yesterday? We'll see.
Still pretty still and quiet for wind, but you're starting to see the bulrushes bend just a little bit there. Maybe we're getting a little breeze worked up here. There are some actual clouds up there, and here we go.
Hooked up. Looks like a big one, too.
All right.
Good one. Not quite as big as some of those yesterday, but.
Just need some magic. All we need. Oh, yes.
Helps a little bit.
Man, it helps big time. Man, what a mess. Yeah, that's the kind we gotta have right there. Goodness gracious.
You know, yesterday we were talking about it might be another pizza day for Timmy Horton, like he ordered on the last elite event that he won a few years back. But it just doesn't happen like that very often. That's why that footage was so good, to sit there and order pizza and have the tournament 1 hour before it's over. Most elite events, you have to get them the old-fashioned way. You have to earn it.
Absolutely.
I
think of your last victory on the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Geez.
How that got drug out through the final day. Come on.
The final day, I didn't have a fish in the boat at 11 o'clock. Had a good lead going into the final day, but stuck with it and it worked out. And I think it's Timmy. This afternoon, he's going to have an opportunity to regain that big lead again.
A little update from the water. Brett Height, who we had Bassmaster Live with yesterday, slipped down to 18th to start today. Just caught an 8-pounder, so he's up to 17 to 18 pounds right now. So he's putting his name in the hat for the top 12, maybe finding his mojo once again.
Bag. But the only good one we caught was that 8-pounder first thing in the morning. We had a bite this morning that would have did that too, but lost it. But all of those 5s and 6s came after 11:30 yesterday. All we need is 3 or 4 of them.
Got the blood pumping a little bit.
Yeah, that definitely get the juices flowing again, that's for sure. You know, we should already be at 20 pounds. We land that 8 and that other 5. That's the way it goes.
He really he needed that fish.
Well, that's an important one, isn't it?
And it made him stop. Obviously, it felt good to put a fish in a live well, but just what he was saying, we were talking about earlier, all those bigger fish he caught yesterday, other than the one early fish, were after lunchtime. And it's great that he's thinking that and thinking positive, and he'll certainly have a chance today, I think, to catch him. Tomorrow may be a different story according to the forecast, so he certainly needs to catch him this afternoon.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's just kind of sloughing off the bad luck, and he talked about it this morning. He would have had 20 pounds in the boat if he'd landed both of those, but you know, numbers catch up with you after a while. I think.
They do. They were adding up yesterday because he put every single one of them in the boat, but you lose a 9 and a 5, it catches up with you.
Now we're getting a little breeze, a little breakup on the surface.
Oh, man, usually when that happens, you get smoked. Man, the reed shoot. It's been a tilapia.
He mentioned tilapia. We haven't talked about that this week. A lot of tilapia up in these same areas where the bass are being caught, and the bass eat the tilapia, but those tilapia are up there, the big ones are up there spawning, make bright beds that you think, well, that's a beautiful bass bed, and those bright, pretty ones are typically tilapia. And when they spook really easy. They'll shake the reeds, and just like Timmy said, even more so than a bass.
Right there.
Never freezes down there, so the tilapia do great.
They do.
They get big, huh?
Real big. Bass love them.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I kind of like a tilapia taco every once in a
Yeah,
while.
once in a while. Not bad. Not bad. They're.
We're going to have a great group tomorrow. I can see it all coming together. B-Hides trying to jump back in there.
Got some Hackney, a little Browning.
Hackney, Browning, a bunch of Arkansas guys.
Cliff Prince in there.
Height.
Todd will be in there.
Height just jumped with that fish we spoke of earlier. He's in the top 10, so he's 9th place. So he's not even to 20 pounds yet either.
Tharp's first one out at 13th, but he's only got 9-12, so he's got plenty of room to climb back up in there. Lefebvre caught a 6-pounder. He's got the big bag of the day at 19-0, but he's still 15th. He needs to get in the 20s probably to climb in the top 12.
Yep. You don't hear that braided line coming through those flipping sticks very often that you don't see Greg Hackney fish on Sunday.
Oh, no. It's, I mean, think back to Texoma.
Yep.
What was happening there?
Bryan's spent a lot of time culling and in and out of that live well since he picked up that spinning rod. That's incredible.
Now with that spinning rod, is he targeting, would you say he's maybe targeting sight fish or just clumps of grass, or what's it look like? It looks like he's out in the middle of nowhere. Obviously there's grass under there, but what kind of grass is he looking for?
I think he's looking for the holes in the grass with that wind, the way it had calmed down. You see it starting to pick up now, and I think that's why you see the action. Hopefully it'll increase even a little more and he can pick up that chatterbait and cover more water and catch bigger fish. But I think certainly made a smart move by going to a Senko type bait and a spinning rod and catching that 7-pounder is a game changer when it's flat. The wind picks up this afternoon with this front coming in tomorrow. Certainly there'll be a lot of guys that catch some big fish between now and weigh-in.
Weigh-in at 3:15 Eastern time. That's when it starts right here on Bassmaster.com. Dave Mercer. We'll roll through it and have our 12 for the final day. We'll be visiting with Dave more during the course of this afternoon as well. He gave us some great stuff yesterday. Usually rounds up some A-lister guests on Saturday because that's when they're available.
He does.
He was trying at the weigh-in yesterday to get Swindle to shave his beard off on live.
Yeah. Swindle is looking like a character from the Old Testament now. Come on.
He's getting a little long.
He is really getting that beard out there now.
Bartholomew Swindle.
Looked pretty groomed before, but a little unruly yesterday.
We'll pull up and away from Tim Horton here for a moment, past Defoe and back up to a fellow. We've had a little trouble with the pictures on it today, but we got a picture of him now, Cliff Prince, who's doing his best to hang in there, got his limit, has had his limit for a good spell now, and we suspect, well, earlier he was looking at it.
Well, he told me last night that he hoped to catch a big fish on his top water prop bait early in the morning, but in the afternoon was when he really hoped to be able to make up some ground. And with some big fish sight fishing, he's certainly one of the best sight fishermen on the Elite Trail. From Palatka, Florida, Lake George, probably.
Oh, yeah.
You know, sight fishes for 4 months out of the year.
Yeah.
You know, got lots of practice and experience.
Got him that time. That's what I'm talking about. That one right there will help.
Was he watching Bassmaster live? I was talking about, why don't Florida guys throw a frog instead of that
Good
prop
one right
bait?
there, dude.
A good one on a frog for Cliff Print.
There you
What
go.
I'm talking about.
They use it, they just don't talk about it. We caught him.
Yep.
We're seeing a lot more action
Oh,
than we
man.
did right before the break.
Davey,
So okay, take it, Sue. Come.
you see Greg Hackney, 8.5 pounders up to 24.2.
Wow.
Unofficial leader.
Unofficial leader. Mm-hmm. I told you guys.
There's his big
Better
bag
watch
today.
out for Greg Hackney.
As soon as
Greg
you said
Hackney,
it.
100 pounds. Greg
heard
Hackney.
you.
That's all I've been talking about.
That's right.
Said it from the start.
That's right.
I did pick him on my fantasy team as well.
We just mentioned Dave Mercer. Dave Mercer with Triton on the line. Right now, we got some Dave Mercer coming up here. Dave Mercer, we were referring to Canadians a little bit earlier. I think it was you and probably Tim Horton, Pierre Trudeau, I don't know, Eugene Levy, who are all part of that conspiracy to take Timmy Horton's name away from him. Tim Horton, now we have to call him Timmy Horton because of you Canadians. Thanks a lot.
Gretzky that got together and made that all happen, guys. But it's all worked out now. It's all worked out now. Tim, whatever you want to call him. But we just saw him moments ago lose a big fish. But this a big day, obviously. Day number 3, stop number 2 of the Bassmaster Elite Series. Before we go any further on fishing, I got to address something. This is a big, big day in many, many sports. And one of our great longtime friends of the show, friends of Bassmaster Live, many of you have heard of him, Bryan Bickell, a 3-time Stanley Cup winner. I got to wish him luck today because Bryan Bickell's been a longtime supporter of this show. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who don't know the story, Bryan Bickell plays for the Carolina Hurricanes, and on November 8th, he was diagnosed with MS. MS, and many people thought he would never play hockey again. One of those people who did not think that was Bryan and Amanda Bickell. They've worked incredibly hard, and he will be playing tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes affiliate in Charlotte, the Charlotte Checkers. I'm a huge Checkers fan, but amazing. And we want to congratulate Bryan Bickell on his comeback and wish him luck. And we look forward to seeing him play in the NHL. And, of course, tuning in to Bassmaster Live.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah.
That's I know you're buddies with Bickell, and you know what a career he has had, and to find that that's extended, man, that is tremendous news out there. One other name we need to think about is Max Leatherwood. Also, I know you and Tripp mentioned that up on stage yesterday. Max Leatherwood, one of the stalwarts, bumping those fish at all the Bassmaster Elite Series events, doing so many other job duties, always positive, always with a smile. And Max is having some health problems as well. He's going to start chemotherapy next week, and certainly think about Max too.
Max a great guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all our thoughts and prayers out to Max. Max, a big-time player at all these events, and one of the most important guys. He's the reason we all go off on time in the morning. He's your time guy, and he's the guy who talks to all the anglers. And the one best thing about Max, I always have fun with him, not afraid to call a grown man babe. I mean, if you watch him, if you come to takeoff, when Max recovers from this and he comes back here, when people leave, and David will confirm this, he will look at a grown man and say, "What time you due in, babe? What time you due in, babe?" And when you first hear it, it kind of throws you for a loop. But it's Max, and it is awesome.
We're going to be missing that for a little while, but we wish him the very best in his recovery and all the treatment. And with you all the way, Max, thinking about you all the time. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us, and we need you to come out and do some more.
You bet.
What else you got going today, Dave?
We definitely do. Well, this obviously the most important day, this moving day, as you call it, Tommy Sanders. Got to move into that top 12, but you have to be in the top 51 to move on. Want to talk about a heartbreaker in fishing, the thrill of victory and the agony of angling. First guy out of the cut, Mclelland, a 7-time Bassmaster winner. Check out this picture. After his weigh-in, look what he found in the live well. Missed the cut by 4 ounces. And found this in his live well. That fish was spit up by a 7-8. He weighed in on day number 2. He had no idea that that was in the live well until it was all emptied. He's cleaning it out. And as you can see, I asked Mike, I said, did that definitely weigh 4 ounces? He said, all of that and more. So Mike Mclelland, because that fish got an upset tummy and spit it up in his live well, cost him $10,000.
Oh, usually crappie are kind of appetizing, but I think that one left a bad taste in the mouth of Mike Mclelland there. What a hard way to miss the cut by 4 ounces. I mean, that's rough enough, but to know you had it in the live well at some point there, and you can't put them back in.
No, you can't. A lot of people wonder, why didn't he just stick it back in the fish's mouth? Can't do that, against the rules. You can't put anything down in the fish's mouth.
Dave Mercer catches you doing that, you are up before the committee. That is for certain here. What else you got going on today, Dave?
Well, speaking of guys who didn't make the cut, had a big finish at our last event. And he's a big social media star here this week. Let's bring him out here. Brandon Polinick. Unfortunately, he just let me know moments ago. Is this officially on the record your worst ever Bassmaster finish?
Well, I thought about that a little bit more, and I got 0 points at the Sabine River. But with more guys in the events this year, different point system, this would be my worst finish yet. It's my lowest finish in the standings.
Talk to me about that, because one of the things that we've wondered at the beginning of the year, and I just mentioned to you off stage just a few seconds ago, do you think, you look at the guys who didn't make the cut in the first 2 events, I mean, 2 names, 2 rock stars really, Justin Lucas and Chris Zaldane, have become a fixture in our top 10 for Angler of the Year points. They haven't made a 50 cut yet this year. And you look at other names, like guys like Skeet, Aaron didn't make this cut, Ike didn't make this cut, legitimate bona fide superstars of the sport. Could the Classic, being 2 events in, or 3, the 3rd event of the season, could that be affecting the way guys mentally went into this season?
I think it definitely changes things up. I know personally it's changed things for me. I can't speak for those guys, but I know that with the format of the Classic versus the Elites, where the Classic is a kind of all-in event, there's no points, you're literally there just to win. And with the Elites, you got to worry about winning, points, you got to worry about the whole season as a whole. And so I've always been the guy that during the off season, I like to have the Classic first. I could start off, put all my eggs in one basket, and then have 2 or 3 weeks after that to re-prep and get mentally prepared for the Elite Series. And it's really changed. I had to make myself aware of that and then mentally prepare different to come into the Elite Series, and then now have a couple weeks to switch gears and change into the Classic.
How important is routine? Because you hear other athletes in other sports talk about routine and what they go through. How important is that to you as an angler? Is there a routine, and has this, not just the Classic, but anytime it gets out of whack, does it mess with you?
Well, our sport's different in the fact that we're always at a different venue every single time we compete, and we're in different places all the time. We've got a lot of things going on, so it's hard to have a real strict routine, but having some sort of a routine, just as like starting off with the Classic, things like that, it does throw you off a little bit, just because now you're having to pull your focus from where it may have been on the tournament before. Now you have to pull your focus into other things like getting boats before you normally would, or getting jerseys and sponsorship deals done a little bit earlier than you would before, and that's going to pull focus away from your fishing, and it changes things. It does. It makes a difference anytime you have that kind of change.
A big topic at our last event obviously was rookies. I mean, you see that many rookies in the top 50, that many rookies in the top 12. And one of the things we talked about was what today's angler, and I mean, you're still, young in this sport, you've accomplished an awful lot, but tell me what your year is like. I don't think people realize just how much time you actually spend on the water.
I don't really go home. I try to spend as much time on the water. For me, it's all about more time on the water. We have 8 hours a day to compete. The faster that light bulb goes off is the guy that's going to win. So the more time, the more experiences you see, the faster that light bulb is going to go off. And so I try to spend as much time on the water when I'm not working on other things as possible.
Next up for you, the Bassmaster Classic, of course, in Houston. And I know you got so close a few years ago. I need you to give me a prediction in that camera before we send it back to the studio.
What kind of prediction are we going?
Well,
like a personal
I would
prediction,
think a good one.
or just
for you?
For me, I'm really looking forward to Conroe. I like the way the lake sets up. I like the time of year that we're going to be there. There's going to be some moving fish, transitions, and for me, that sets up well. I like a tournament that you're going to have to change throughout the week. Things are going to be moving, and the guy that adapts, right? I just talked about that light bulb going off. I like those tournaments where you have to kind of move on the fly, change, and even fish new water during the tournament. I feel like I do better in those tournaments, so I'm really looking forward to Conroe. It's going to be a great event, great venue, and I think you're going to see some mega bags, possible record-breaking type bags.
Been around for 7 years here in the Elite Series now, and it feels like we've watched Brandon Palnick grow up. But really, there was a Brandon before he ever picked up a bass rod. And let's have a look at that now as I send it back to the studio.
Oh, nice. Wow.
I don't even know what's...
Formidable.
I don't even know what's going on right now.
Dave has been on the photo beat today. He's gotten us some key photos. Dave Mercer, Brandon Palnick, thank you so much. Brandon Palnick from Idaho, one of the greatest ever. Out from that same valley in there, which includes Eastern Washington State, you get a Luke Clausen. And Ron, we got another Idahoan in the Bassmaster Classic this year, don't we?
Yes, Daryl Okamika. He accepted the Elite Series bid, so he's an Elite Series rookie as well this year. He made a cut at Cherokee. Struggled a little bit here, but it's a good start for his career.
He's focused on the Classic.
Focused on the Classic, absolutely. Those guys hone their skills at places like Coeur d'Alene Lake. I wish we could go up there for a Bassmaster Elite. A beautiful place with a lot of great smallmouth bass in it. Take a look at our top 12 leaderboard as we head toward a quick break here. And Tim Horton, Greg Hackney just about tied it up at the top there. Wouldn't that be a great battle on the final day? But there's a lot of fishing left to go today. It may not seem like a lot of time, but boy, conditions seem to be getting a little more favorable. We'll be back after these messages.
The ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee is brought to you by Berkeley, Hook, Humminbird, Mercury, Minn Kota, and by Nitro Boats.
Man, it's slow today.
Yep.
Mom, I caught a fish.
Good job, sweetie.
Hey, what kind of lure is that?
It's a Livingston. They have electronic bait fish sounds that activate as soon as they hit the water. Easiest way to catch a fish.
Hey, thanks.
Fishing fans, make plans to be at the 2017 Geico Bassmaster Classic, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. March 24th through the 26th in Houston, Texas. See 52 of the world's best anglers weigh in their catch from Lake Conroe at Minute Maid Park, home of the Houston Astros. A weigh-in show like never before and one you've got to see in person. Check out the biggest outdoors expo in B.A.S.S. history, featuring the latest in fishing gear, giveaways, and more. Fun for the whole family, and all events are free. Join us in Houston for the Geico Bassmaster Classic and be a part of the most exciting 3 days in fishing, period.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Out of office?
Oh, man.
Hi, this is Skeet.
Skeet, out of office?
Dude, don't be mad because I thought of it.
What?
I gotta go. I got someone on the line. Go to teamgtfishing.com to check out my real job.
We're supposed to be working.
I am working.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee. Brought to you live by Hook.
4 of our Rapala 5 Live that we're covering here today on the 3rd day of competition. Lake Okeechobee, second stop of the year for the Bassmaster Elite Series. About 3 hours worth of fishing left for these guys here today, which is plenty of time to get a lot done. That's when we saw Tim Horton do most of his damage on day number 2. He's looking to get things back on that track as quick as he possibly can. A lot of movement up and down the leaderboard. We'll get to that for you as well. Horton, Browning on the right of him. Below that, Cliff Prince and Dean Rojas, fishing not too far from Tim Horton.
Really excited to see what happens these last few hours. There's been some guys catch fish and a lot of fish early in the morning, but the big fish have happened late in the day. Stephen Brown has been making hay with that spinning rod in his hand in the last hour.
Absolutely. Looked like he's hooked up again. Oh, no, that's Cliff Prince.
Prince.
Oh.
Yep.
3 pounds. Use some knuckles on that one.
He nailed it yesterday when I talked to him, though. He said, I got a chance in the afternoon if the conditions are calm. And, you know, the conditions are calm, and he's proven that he knew what he was talking about. He's really, you know, helped himself in the last 30 minutes.
Yes. I hope that picture stays steady for us, because it looks like that'd be a good place to hang out for a bit this afternoon.
Jersey boy Adrian Avina helped himself. He had an 8-pounder followed by a 5.5. It put him over 21 pounds, close to 22 in the top 12.
It can happen so fast here. Lake Okeechobee, it can happen so fast. TH Marine balance beam.
Yes, sir.
Certainly used those a few times in my career.
Well,
one of the must-have deals.
Direction anyway. Yeah, you know, yeah. For right now, it's doing very exceeding what I thought it was going to do just fishing around in here. So we'll keep packing along, get rid of that other one. Hopefully the Mr. Sun will pop out. Find us a darn 10-pounder. Maybe we get to work on Sunday.
I hope we get a chance to watch Cliff fish for some of those sight fish. Certainly can learn a lot. Got to be one of the most knowledgeable sight fishermen out there on the Elite Trail. And I hope, now that we got good service with him, I hope he spots him a 8 to 10 pounder and we can watch him.
That'd be fun to see him drop in on one of those.
You bet.
Cliff holding in 6th place right now. I don't think that reflects his the one we just saw him catch there, so he might be able to gain a tiny bit. That wasn't much of a call, though.
Nope, barely made the balance beam lean.
We got 3 that'll go about 12. 13, 14, yep, about 15.
The local flipper and the backlashes. That's the accompanying band. Stand by. I'm sorry, I made clear.
We've seen almost every angler that we've had camera on use multiple baits by this time in the tournament, you know, midway on day 3, except Timmy Horton and Dean Rojas.
Nope.
They're all dialed in with the big stick and braided line and skirtless fighting frog for Dean Rojas, and Timmy using a bait similar, a Bass Pro black blue swirl piece of plastic that he's got on a, I'm guessing about a 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce tungsten sinker. Not real thick stuff. They're not nearly as thick as the guys were flipping in 2012.
Going to hit our power pole replay of the day for you right here, and it's still, this one stands. I mean, this is an important fish on the line for Tim Horton. Giant early this morning.
We've seen it. Yeah. My heart sinks every time I watch it.
Textbook job of getting him out of those
He did.
reeds.
He
I
did.
mean, absolutely, just the most efficient way possible you could do that.
If you make it past that, out of the cover, survive the first jump, normally land them, and he landed every single one yesterday. Textbook, big fish, first bite like he had the first 2 mornings, 8-pounders in the boat, first bite, another 8+ on. And like you said, the numbers will catch up with you.
Oh yeah,
It is fishing heavy
absolutely.
cover.
Probability. And here we go. Big one on the other side of those reeds right there, and that one comes off as well.
Yep.
Like getting slapped in one side of the face and getting another good slap on the other side of the face. You just got to power through it.
Yep. He did a good job there. I've dropped to my knees like that before for a second or two, catch your breath, stand back up, and start fishing again. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
Speaking of all you can do, stand up and start back fishing, and hopefully your momentum changes and you put one in the boat, and that's what happened. He sat down, immediately started talking about my better bites have happened in the afternoon, other than the one big bite early in the morning. I've got plenty of time to catch a couple quality fish. And if he does that, you look, he's the only one without a limit. He catch a 6-pounder. We're right back to where we were yesterday. Timmy Horton with a big lead.
And you pointed out, rightfully so this morning, there was an upside to hooking up with that 9-pounder. You're in a place where there's 9-pounders. So,
absolutely.
So don't leave. He did leave for a little bit, but then he sort of thought better of it and came back.
Yep. Just when I talked about Dean Rojas, locked in with the flipping stick and flipping his Texas rig, he's picked up a bait and started casting. He did throw a chatterbait a little bit this morning, vibrating jig type bait.
Not for long. But
Not for long.
For a bit.
He probably won't do this long either if I had to bet. The two on the right, though, Browning and Cliff Prince, they're making some hay. Catching numbers of fish. The big fish just seem to be a little harder to come by. Although Stephen, that 7-11 he called an hour ago, he get another bite like that, he's going to be knocking on Timmy's door.
You listen to all the chatter, people talking about Okeechobee, and there's always a certain percentage of people that say, well, it would just be a matter of honor. I would not be caught on Okeechobee with spinning rod in my hand like that. Stephen Brown and guys like that just love to hear that kind of talk.
Yeah. There's a time in my career, for most of my career, I'd say the exact same thing. But I certainly learned there are times when you need to downsize, use smaller line, and you can get those bigger fish to bite, especially when the wind's not blowing in clear water.
And it's like, dang man, and I mean there were boats, 10 deep. Across, and everybody, you just kind of had to be the lucky one to float around the hole that had a better quality fish in it. So, I'm just gonna keep looking at these, try to find these little clean spots. We may back out here after a while and throw the chatterbait, out here on the outside edge of it, just to see if we can find some fish moving up. I mean, there's probably a wad of a 30-pound bag right here close if you could just figure out what they're sitting on, where they are, and what they're sitting around.
We're always kind of watching the social media, or somebody around here is watching the social media and sort of compiling these things here that we get, questions from viewers and so forth like that. We're gonna rack up a few for Davey Hyde here because everybody wants some of Davey's expertise on there. And we'll just hit the first real reef donkey out there, of course. Watching today, you manage fish on Okeechobee, or do you catch what you can? Because the next day they might not bite anyway. That's a good question.
That is a great question, and you'll get a different answer from a lot of different anglers. Have a different perspective there. I will say Kevin Van Dam and I disagree on this on most lakes, but I would agree with him on Okeechobee. Kevin says catch everyone you can, any day you can. Don't save anything until tomorrow. I know personally that I've won some tournaments because I managed my fish. We talked about that with Jesse Wiggins.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you about. Yeah.
He didn't end up winning, but I think he managed his fish to have the highest finish that he possibly could have. Now, on Lake Okeechobee, do you manage them? I say no. You catch everyone you can catch because the conditions change so much from day to day, and you don't know what you need. In most lakes, you say, well, if I got 20 pounds, yeah, I better save some for tomorrow. Nobody's going to have much more than 20 pounds. You have 20 pounds on Okeechobee, somebody might come in with 30 plus pounds. They certainly have the previous 2 days, and you know, I wouldn't count it out today in the afternoon. So you can't, there's not a magic number that you can say, nobody will really surpass me if I've got this. Yeah. Even at 30 pounds even, a Greg Hackney could catch 35, 36 pounds here on Lake Okeechobee.
Got to do it. Why not tie on a big swim bait today? We haven't seen that for sure.
You know, I brought some baits here that I thought would be used here at Lake Okeechobee and would be a player here. Obviously, what these guys have done, I thought about those things, but I also thought about a big swim bait. And last night, I was just thinking about things that we might talk about today. Skeet Reese had to throw a big swim bait a bunch here, and look where he finished. You know, there's some of those guys. Chris Zaldane always throws one. Maybe it just wasn't happening, but I certainly would have tried it in practice.
Fred Rumbanis did. He said he had 30 to 35 pound bag in practice. He said he jumped off an 8 to 10 pounder yesterday on a swim bait, but he did catch some 5s and 6s. Fred Rumbanis said that on.
All right, next question. Let's take a look at it. With as sparse as some of the reeds are, any of the anglers throwing even lighter weights? You talked about going down to ½ ounce, and anybody getting lower than that, you think?
Well, the reeds are sparse for Lake Okeechobee, that's for sure. And I would probably do that some, but most of the big bites that Timmy has gotten, even if it was a small patch of reeds, he seems to be pitching right in the middle of them. And I'll talk about it a little later. You want to use a sinker just heavy enough to penetrate through that canopy, the matted down reeds or that sort of thing. So if the fish are around, around those reeds and outside them a little bit, sure, that would work, but you've got to have a heavier weight to be able to get where those fish are.
Hashtag Bass Live is how you join the conversation with us here. Any Bass Nation angler on a hotter streak than Ott Defo. Look at his last four. We're talking about that momentum here. First, 14th, the 10th leads today. Nobody's on a hotter streak than Ott Defo right now.
They're not, and I think he's going to stay on that hot streak. Ott Defo will be a contender for Angler of the Year this year. I'll be shocked if he's not. I truly think we'll be talking about him in the AOY event as one of the guys that's got a chance to win it all.
All these guys out here can do it all. Ott Defo just more so.
He does. he does. Yeah. He just needed that little boost to go ahead and get that one elite victory under his belt, and it's just set him on fire. I remember tournaments early in my career, one in particular, that just changed my mentality about, hey, I can not only compete with these guys, I can beat them.
Yeah.
And you need that, and certainly Ott is considered by all anglers to be one of the best.
Came out here ready to go and just keeps soaking up more with each passing year. One of these eternally curious guys. Ask Davey, is there any regrets about not fishing the tour this season? I'm sure there are.
Well, when I see Timmy Horton and some of those guys land those 8-pounders, sure, that thought crosses my mind. But when I also look down the list and see some great fishermen that struggled in their drive home today, I've been there and done that. I don't miss it quite so much. But honestly, 23 years fishing the trail, I'm content. I was blessed with better finishes and things than I ever dreamed of. So I'm content and ready to do something different.
You know, the old rule of vaudeville was leave them wanting more.
That's right.
I think you definitely left them wanting more, for sure. It's just how much more do you want? That's what you have to think about and do. And we're so glad to have you here. It's just a great resource. So much info, so much knowledge, and so much experience.
Timmy was making hand signals with somebody there. I don't know if it was a local that was, just watching him, or a drone or something going on
not
there.
another drone, please.
That distracted him, and his posture right now looks like he's a little frustrated with something that may be going on.
Kind of locked up on something a little bit here.
He's certainly frustrated about something that's going on.
I can't see it. I don't know.
We talked about it earlier for those that weren't watching us. It's Saturday. It's happening to everybody. You have to keep saying that. There's going to be local fishermen out there. 99.99% of them certainly don't want to get in your way.
You're telling us they're going to put up a graphic here of fun facts. If you're one of the people on this list, it's not a fun fact. These are notable anglers not making the cut. Ish Monroe, the champion here in 2012, Toyota Bassmaster reigning Angler of the Year. Gerald Swindle, multiple AOY titles for Aaron Martins. Skeet Reese, Classic champion. Mike Iaconelli, Classic champion. Rick Clunn, Classic champion. The Angler of the Year titles for those guys as well. So it's
certainly 6 fantasy fishing bust right there that really.
Not to mention all the Florida guys who struggled this week too.
Oh yeah, that's
Grigsby and Scroggins and Lane.
When's the last time Gerald Swindle missed a 50 cut?
That's why St. Clair in 2015.
Been a long time.
It's August of 2015. That's a long time.
He's got to be second guessing that beard.
Beard may have to come
only
off
2
now.
events with it, and he's missed one. It's only 50%.
He's chalking it up to Florida probably. But 63rd is not a bomb.
Certainly
Still
not.
good points. Just barely. You're within a pound of the cut probably.
You got to be thinking about Angler of the Year, and like you said, a 63rd certainly isn't a bomb. Something he can recover from and still be in the mix come the end of the year. And I would be surprised if he isn't. But when you've got those 90 to 110th place finishes, hard to overcome.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Hard to overcome.
Right now he's 34th. Unofficially, it changes every day, obviously, but 34th after day 2.
In the morning. No, this is like, that's 3 weeks ago. It's 4, for the season.
Give us a little update, Dean. We're live.
Well, it's about 12:25 right now, and the good news is we have 5 fish. The bad news, we don't have any big ones yet. But yesterday I caught, and the first day also, I caught like a 5-pounder in the last hour. So the water temperature is 76 degrees right now, so it's getting really warm. And that's usually when them big fish eat, especially this time of the year. The big ones always bite later in the day when it heats up. They get a little more aggressive. So I don't know what I got, like 11 or 12 pounds in the boat right now, which that don't mean nothing because, one flip could be a 9-pounder. Next thing you know, you got 20 pounds, or 19, 18, whatever it is. It can happen so quickly. And, growing up in San Diego, I fished for Florida strain a lot. That's what we have down there. So I know a lot of their habits and stuff of what they like to, they're real fickle, man. It's just, any kind of weather change, they really affects them. And especially when you got such shallow water like we have here at Okeechobee. It's only 2.5 feet deep right here. And you can see the line of tules that I'm fishing here. It kind of leads back into a bay back in there. But there's a lot of fish that are spawning out in here, and you really can't see them because the water's not real clear. You can see down about a foot, 15 inches in that range. But there's just a lot of fish in the area, and we caught like 10 keepers already, 9 or 10 keepers already. So the bites have been good. It's just we haven't had the quality yet. But that's the thing about here. It can change so quickly, and you can go to have 12 pounds, to 19, 20, or even more than that in a very short period of time. So I'm anticipating a late bite. I think that I think there's an 8-pounder in my future. And I think that we're going to come with a nice bag today. Just got to keep grinding it out, keep flipping, keep casting, and stay positive, stay focused, get the job done.
And tell the fans a little bit about not a lot of elite guys in this area. It seems to be just a couple of them.
Yeah, I'm real fortunate. You know, Tim Horton and I, it's a big area. I mean, it's probably the size of a Walmart parking lot. I mean, it's gigantic. And so he was here in practice and I was here in practice, and then we were the only 2 boats we've been in here the last 3 days. So we've kind of had it to ourselves and just kind of been fishing around each other, milling around. It's, you know, it's a pretty big area. And you know, you saw his weight yesterday. He did a great job yesterday, catching 30 pounds. It's just awesome. You know, and it's good to be able to fish knowing that those quality of fish live in this area. And so much of fishing down here is being in the area where those big ones are at, you know, and giving yourself a chance to catch, you know, an 8 or a 9 pounder. I mean, if you know they're in the area and you're catching them like that, you know there's more of them. Those aren't the only ones. So it just takes a little bit, you know, weather change. We've got some clouds coming in. That could change some things. But anything that can change to get them moving or get them shaking and eating, you know, it could turn this thing in a hurry.
A few local flippers, but they seem to be very...
I agree with everything he said.
Yeah.
It's what we've been talking about a lot in the last few days. And Dean and Timmy have been fortunate enough to have those changes go their way, have those big bites late in the day.
Everything indicates that they're in the place where the big ones live, and they just need for those conditions to the combination on the lock to line up properly to unlock the ability to catch them.
That wind is picking up and the clouds moving in. They should really be able to have opportunity to catch a few big fish this afternoon. And I think it's very important that they do, because that area that they've got by themselves, if it blows northeast and gusts up to 21 like the forecast said, it'll be real tough to catch them there tomorrow, in my opinion.
If you're just joining up with us, Tim Horton, of course, had the lead after yesterday.
Little Machine at home, and that's his little nickname. And it's difficult sometimes because he's only 15, and it's hard on my older one because, you know, they win a lot or do real well in the team tournaments, and he'd come home with a pocket full of cash, you know, $300-400, you know. No, they just want to. Everybody wants to fish with him. You know, he's a little machine. They call me and they go, "Hey, is Little Machine fishing?" I'm like, "Well, you got to call him and ask him." So he's a hot commodity down there in Lake Havasu. So, but try to keep our kids busy, keep them busy with, you know, projects and being involved and so forth. And you know, I'm proud of both my kids. They're turning into fine young men. So I'm very proud. I'm a proud papa.
Good place to learn your fishing, Lake Havasu. You get to do a few different things out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Catch some giant smallmouth out of the tulies and stuff like that. We've seen it all there.
I only fished there one time last year, and it's an incredible place, that's for sure. So much.
All right, some Tim Horton trivia. We had a good trivia question last time. How did Tim Horton lose his name? We got to see what we got this time. If he was not fishing,
he didn't lose his name.
What might Tim Horton have chosen for a profession? Would he have been an architect, youth counselor, a nuclear physicist, or a restaurateur?
I'm going with
shop
B.
owner.
Youth counselor? Yeah. What did you say?
I was joking. Donut shop opener. That was Tim Hortons.
Oh, yeah. Okay, nuclear physicist, restaurateur, architect, or youth counselor. Let's just take a guess. Are we going to show the answer? Okay.
He looks like a nuclear physicist to me, but that's just me.
You know, he was a college ball player too.
He was
baseball player.
He was a college baseball player.
So I'm surprised that's not on there.
That's not on there. I would have chosen that, but I'm going with B, youth counselor.
I'm with you on that. I think he's a public speaker and he likes it. Yeah,
impressive.
Yeah, right on.
Both of you, yeah.
Maybe height. Shoots, he scores.
He's got a degree in psychology.
Oh, does he really? From Auburn.
Yes, he does.
He's a War Eagle dude now. There's no doubt about that, through and through.
I knew he played college ball. Do you know what position?
I don't. It seems like shortstop was what I heard, but I may have that wrong. Shortstop, third base.
A lot of these fishermen were still are athletes. Good hand-eye coordination, very big part of our game. Good hand-eye coordination.
You were a quarterback in high school?
Yeah.
Come on now. Hey.
I got two sons that are better high school ball players than me. They both play college ball, but I was okay back in the day where the quarterback just handed it off to a big running back. Run the option and pitch it every time.
Yeah. Larry right and Larry left, that deal? Yeah.
Davey, now you fake this dive and pitch it real quick. I kept it a few times, but like Dean mentioned, real proud of my two sons, but they were both better football players than me. I was just the best available. You had to make do with what they had.
I bet you're poor mouthing us here. Giving us the soft sell. Dean Rojas. Good one in the boat, yeah. Put on the show today, Timmy Horton. Like in Timmy's words, for how everything went great yesterday, it's gone equally in the other direction today.
It really has, and Timmy is the same guy he was yesterday, fishing the same baits, doing the same thing. You're just not going to land every one of those fish, and today it's kind of steamrolled on it.
2.5 hours left of fishing for these guys on this day number 3. We're going to hang with them for at least another hour and a half, 2 hours, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Continually proven on the tournament trail and with Skeeter owners everywhere with 14 consecutive NMMA CSI Consumer Satisfaction Awards. Our competition doesn't even come close. Right now, buy, save, fish with up to $1,500 in instant rebates through March 31st, including the newly redesigned limited edition FX series. Now is the best time to buy, save, fish. Skeeter.
Is there a place where the underwater images are the clearest you've ever seen? We're seeing every fish, we're seeing every detail of structure, and where every bottom contour was visible, where whatever you wanted to see below the surface was real. Do you want to go? Structure Scan 3D is the future of fishing. We can show you how to find fish faster and catch fish in a way you've never experienced. Let's get them.
Is this being in the moment? Is this hanging out? And is this really playing with your kid? Don't stop what you're doing to capture what you're doing. Keep running, keep playing, keep dancing. Just keep doing.
GoPro, start recording.
Champions aren't born, they're created. Every turn of the prop, every mile on the lake, every cast of the rod, every fish they catch, and every pound they weigh. It builds who they are. It builds a legacy.
For your 2016 Bassmaster Angler of the Year!
Facts matter. All monofilament is not the same. Berkley is the strongest, smoothest, most dependable monofilament line in the world. Why would you risk your fishing trip to a line that's made who knows where just to save a buck? Berkley has been making and perfecting trilene in America for over 75 years. I spool nothing less than the best. That's Berkley trilene, and that is a fact.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee, brought to you live by Hook.
First Geico Bassmaster Classic ever, fully in the state of Texas. Houston, Texas, 4th largest city in these United States, a great town, big time sports town, March 24th, 25th, and 26th, the World Championship of Bass Fishing, the Geico Bassmaster Classic. You see Galveston Bay down there, and just up to the north and west is Houston, Texas, and man, just a big fishing community in that part of the world is there. Everybody's got Lake Conway. They've also got Rayburn. They've got Toledo Bend. All that stuff within half a day's drive, and just a big fishing community down there. And maybe we'll get some highlights like this, the incredible finish on Grand Lake up the Elk River for Edwin Evers winning his first Bassmaster Classic. Are we going to have a repeater champion for the Classic this year, or will it be a brand new world champion? Make your plans. Make your plans also to attend Geico Bassmaster Classic Expo, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Promised to be the biggest and best ever. Usually every year it is bigger and better. No reason to think that won't happen again this year. Arizona, Davey Hyde, myself, we camped out in there for 3 days, bringing you some Bassmaster Live, showing you every move on Lake Conroe. We'll see everything there. I mean, that's a built-up place as far as the signals we need to show you bass fishing live. And every day you'll see the weigh-in as well, coming to you from Minute Maid Park, Minute Maid Stadium there, right in the middle of downtown Houston. Right across the parking lot there is the best brisket place I've ever eaten at in my life. I'll remember the name of that place and throw that out here pretty soon. Back live to Stephen Browning.
You know, I think that had a lot to do with, there he is. Golly, missed him. I think that had a lot to do with them biting so well that first day. Because I really didn't think they bit that way. I know there were some good sacks of fish caught yesterday, but boy, they really didn't bite that well. It may be one that we're looking for right here.
Boy, he picked up that spinning rod. He hasn't laid it down.
Ooh, no.
Got a bite here. Hooked up.
Yep. Golly. I know this is, come right here. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I know I shouldn't have, but I had to. That helps. That's a second best one. We won't put a coil tag in her. See, where's that fish? I don't remember which one was. Yeah, I think yellow.
You know, you fish all over the top of these fish, and then when you
pretty one right there.
Get the right bait, they're still there.
Oh yeah.
Those little skinny. Oh no, not yellow. What about green? Quit. Not white.
It's a good thing when you're looking for one to call and you
Where are you, orangey?
Can't find a small one.
Orangey glad color? No, orange gets to stay. Green gets to go. It's that little bitty skinny belly on that dude. Come on, man. Get on back out there. Oh, that helped a pound. That's nice. Throw that back in there. Yay, team. Woohoo! You know, I mean, hey, that was a second go-arounder, you know. I know better. I mean, you know, you got 12-pound line, that's a 2.5 pounder, you think, oh boy, howdy, but probably don't need to do that. You know what, I'm gonna retie. I'm gonna retie this apparatus.
Sometimes you just got to swing a fish, don't you?
You do. Speaking of that,
I think that was Tharp.
Just ran by? Tharp that ran by, okay.
At St. John's River last year, it slicked off like this. The second day of the event, I'd been catching some fish on a vibrating jig and flipping around and soft plastics, that sort of thing. It slicked off, and I went to 12-pound test line. I actually had to get a different rod out because I don't like to throw 12-pound tests in Florida with all the big fish.
Yeah, there's your TH Marine. Sunday weather coming up today, mostly sunny. Tomorrow, 76 degrees tomorrow, a little bit cooler, and the wind 21 miles an hour. There's not a direction listed. Now, that's the key thing we need right there.
Absolutely. The wind gust at 21, and the key there is gust.
Yeah.
If it only gusts once every few hours, that's one thing. But if it's a sustained 15 and gusts to 21 out of northeast, I would be shocked if Dean and Timmy can catch those fish if the wind blows from that direction. The key with the direction is if you're downwind, you're going to be exposed by the whole lake for those waves to build momentum and current, and it will dirty that water up in a hurry. And just as fast as it dirties up, those fish will turn off like turning off a light switch. It really will. But with that coming normally in the afternoon before that happens, the fish really bite good. So I'll be surprised if they don't catch, Dean and Timmy don't catch a couple big ones here late in the day. Right. And for their sake, I hope they do, because I'll be shocked. Now, if that wind doesn't start blowing until lunchtime, they might be able to catch their fish before then.
That's a possibility too. It doesn't say when it gusts to 21 miles an hour and when it shifts over to north-northeast. And you look at the top 5 right there, and the only other missing piece of the puzzle there is where is Greg Hackney catching his fish today.
Exactly.
We'll have that information for you too, exactly. How much he'll be affected by that, because that's obviously he's inserted himself into the conversation here in a big way.
I got lucky at the Classic last year when I was working with you and Zona and talked about the wind, if it does what they were calling for on the final day. Similar to this, I said some guys are going to make some moves, and a lot of people disagreed, said they're not going to bite if the wind blows. They don't bite if the wind blows here, and Edwin Evers certainly proved them wrong. I got lucky with the guess, but from my experience on Lake Okeechobee, and I fish there a lot, if it's blowing tomorrow morning at even 10 miles an hour and builds to that 21 mile an hour gust fairly early in the day, that's when I would be moving to the backside of the island or somewhere like Timmy made that move today.
Yeah, without a little breath of wind, Edwin Evers wouldn't have been able to do what he was able to do. Randy Howell, in fact, had gone up to that spot a couple of times and said, nope, I'll just, they're running from me.
Yep. That wind, in that case, it just deflected the sunlight, the light penetration, and you were able to get those fish to be aggressive and bite artificial lures. In this case, it's the wind can be your friend or your enemy, but it's not because of the light so much as stirring that decayed vegetation.
The north or south?
Not sure. I'll take the south.
Well,
Northeast up here.
Northeast? I think we're going to be okay. I mean, it blew here yesterday really hard. I came across the big lake, and it was rough. But this northeast would be coming from this direction, so it would be protected. It would just this whole ridge coming out here. If it's northeast, it's going to come from this direction, so we're going to be good. It blew really hard yesterday out of the northeast, and the water's still real clear in here. And I caught 25 pounds when it northeast, so I like it. I'll take it. Just another challenge. The weather and everything, but we'll be fine. I'm not worried.
I agree with him. Yesterday it probably was pretty rough running across that lake at 10 miles an hour.
Oh my
10 mile an hour wind.
Wow. Yeah.
10 mile an hour wind. That lake gets rough when you run across it like he's saying.
Just a shallow bowl.
Found Hackney. He's down near Clewiston.
Down near Clewiston, okay.
If he's on the east wall more, he has a chance like Dean just mentioned. But the problem, even though he's protected by that island, you'll be protected somewhat from the wind, but the current that is created by that wind will want to suck in and move that silt. Just the current will move that silt around. If it's got more east than north, he might be okay. If it's got a little more north than east, I'm still saying it's going to not be good in that area.
No, I'm going to come down here regardless. I don't believe it's going to affect it. There's a couple areas down here I haven't hit yet. And unless something really happens here, I'm going to hit those places tomorrow. It'll make getting down here a little tougher, but definitely coming down. It was real windy yesterday, and that was the best day we had, so. Just need a new group of fish to move in.
It wasn't. Real windy. And we saw the forecast. I mean, we're real good at predicting things after they happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Some people
way
do
better
that.
at it. Way better, I think.
It blew 10 yesterday, and I agree with him. Seems real windy out on Lake Okeechobee, especially when you're running across it. But 21 is far different from what it blew yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It never got close to 20 miles an hour yesterday.
100 pounds is looking a little sketchy now, too.
Yep.
That's why Davey said be cautious about predicting 100 pounds, you know? I mean, that's, again.
Yeah. Need to temper these predictions back a little bit, Davey. Come on.
Man, y'all giving me a hard time. Like I didn't say that all along.
What I have a hard time with is, and this got my head screwed up. The start of the broadcast yesterday, you talked about how people down here refer to the north as the east, or was it the north is actually the west? And then now people talk about direction of the wind. I don't know where they're talking about. I don't
That's
know where.
a great point.
I'm messed. I got blindfold on.
If we get a chance to pull the map up, it'd be cool to talk about that. Although I might make some enemies from Clewiston, Florida, about which direction north, south, east, and west are, because the monkey box they call North Shore. Now that's north up. Which direction is?
Is that not west? That's west.
That's west all day.
That is the North Shore if you're in Clewiston, Florida, and you better not cross anybody. Okay, all right. That's that's where I get messed up.
Me too. Hey, look west.
I don't live there. I'm not entitled to change the way they think about their direction. So let them have it. Just don't expect me to be right on the money every time.
Right. And the East Shore starts just a little bit right of launch.
Sure. Yeah. That's the western part of East. Yeah.
It's crazy, but I've just grown to accept that it's called the North Shore because during cold fronts and really tough tournaments where those Florida strain bass don't bite particularly well, you seem to catch them on that western shore, and it should just be the North Shore because that's where you should catch them on the cold front.
That's as good as anything I've heard.
Yeah. Makes about as much sense as anything you see.
Jeff Creet's making a run for the top 12. He just got a 5-pounders up to 19-12.
Creet's got a good record here. Creet's been a performer here.
He sure has. We don't have a camera on him, but I'd be willing to bet he's got a spinning rod in his hand, just like Stephen Browning.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got my duck decoy named Buckshot. Oh, that's I'm a Star Wars fan, and Millennium Falcon's kind of iconic. Smugglers, Han Solo, the whole 9 yards, always saves the day. So it's always a good keepsake. And I carry with them all year long on tour. But my most important lucky charm is I have a duck decoy, and it's been well documented. His name's Buckshot. And I found him the year that I broke the record down in Toho. The reason why I call him Buckshot is because he's got a bunch of holes in him from duck hunters. But I found him floating, and he's been with me for 15 years. I took him out in '03 because I was like, I'm good, and I had the worst year of my career. And I put him back in the boat, and it's been nothing but good ever since then. So, Buckshot and the Millennium Falcon. You need all the good momentum, all the good juju coming your way.
And give us your thoughts on Jar Jar Binks.
That's some lucky charms that I didn't know about. The Millennium Falcon and Buckshot.
I don't like him. I don't like him. I think he ruined it. But
that's okay. That's fine. But if we took up a collection and got Eric, his cameraman, to dress like a Wookiee tomorrow when he gets in the boat with that camera, that would be the best. That would be the best. I imagine if Chewbacca could talk, he would sound a little bit like Eric.
Yeah, a nice raspy voice. Eric would do it too. Don't put it past him.
We're going to make the jump to hyperspace now. Come on. Now, how much is that collection you got there? 200, I'll do it.
Oh, yeah, don't. No good. I think they learned a lesson with him. Now, Chewbacca, hell yeah. Chewbacca's cool, man. Gotta love Chewie.
You nailed it.
Yep.
Chewbacca's his hero.
No. But you could, because you got the voice to do it with.
He's doing Chewbacca.
Oh. Don't do any more because it sounds like you're straining now.
He catches an 8-pounder, he'll have him doing that all day.
Oh my gosh,
tomorrow.
yeah. That's right.
All those bugs. I mean, it was like mentally, and I mean, I was afraid, as they say. I was very fragile. Well, good. I'm glad it worked out. I'm gonna soak it in Absorbine Junior tonight. We fish tomorrow. If it gets to that situation, I'm just gonna put it over my head and I hear you. That hurt. You don't really need to leave that laying up there on that hot, because it'll melt. I spied me a bed right there on the point of that grass.
That's it.
Okay.
Yes, sir. One more good,
I'm hungry.
Good substantial call. Really,
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
about two.
That's not you, Such? Is that you?
Such's stomach.
Well, it is past lunchtime.
JVD
Eastern
just
time.
texted me that he's watching and we need to play some Darth Vader music when Rojas catches one.
Okay. Who says that?
JVD.
That could be our bump.
JVD,
We'll bump
okay.
out to that.
Here we go.
We went through all the Star Wars characters for fishermen last year.
We did?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Gosh, I don't remember that.
Me
I'm
either.
blanking on it.
Maybe it wasn't on the air, but it was
Oh,
around
okay.
there.
Yeah. Well, all right.
There was
wasn't
that.
here,
Yeah.
There was that meme, I think, of some guys bed fishing down in Florida, and they replaced fishing rods with like lightsabers. And I remember Brandon Card at Texoma was like casting one of my shots. They photoshopped a lightsaber.
Oh, I didn't
into
see
it.
that.
Yeah.
Dig
we'll
that
have to,
up,
We'll have
yeah.
to pull that up.
Yeah. Dean Rojas, 25.5 pounds yesterday. Actually, 25.4. Stephen Browning, only 15.12 yesterday. He's probably got about that now, I would think.
I mean, I knew he crashed it, but I
You know, I talked that when I won Angler of the Year, my lucky charm or my key to success, my first Angler of the Year title was I had a pair of lucky underwear.
Oh my
The
gosh.
most embarrassing
Oh,
Angler of the
my
Year
gosh.
speech I think anyone has ever talked about.
Spider-Man?
And it was one pair, not one brand.
Oh, no.
So
See, that's
to wear them on a 4-day event,
you
had
got
to
all
wear
kind of
them
issues then.
frontward, backwards, inside out, and right side.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, too much information.
Well, you know, you just got to learn to use the sink in the bathroom for a washing machine and learn how to use that air conditioning unit the right way to get that stuff dry.
I think I made a couple $100,000 that year in winnings, and my wife was sewing new elastic in my underwear. Like we couldn't afford a pair.
Oh my
She
God.
believed they were a lucky charm.
Were they just white,
Just
or
like
was
I
there
did.
something special about them?
Now,
Such is getting a little
I'm
weird.
so
right
impressed
now.
you want to know more about them.
All right,
See?
yeah.
I think there's been stories written about it. But
There has, so to speak. They were just your typical red underwear.
see, they were colored.
Well,
Boxers with deer horns on them. That's nothing
all right.
special. I just started noticing when I wear those particular
Okay, well,
ones,
about
I'd have
ready for
success.
Davey, did you think that your first event on set, you'd be talking about your underwear in front of a live audience?
Well, yes and no. I've watched some live before, and with Zona and Tommy Sanders sitting
Oh,
here,
gosh. Yeah, 6 hours.
You
Come
never
on.
know where it
There
might
is
go.
nothing that's off the table. Absolutely not. If it was a 2-hour show, sure, you probably wouldn't get to.
right?
6 hours
But
is...
6, yeah.
When they break out the spinning rods, we have to break out the junk. I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. You get to 6 hours, you're in Jerry Lewis territory.
Hey, Tommy, let me mention something about the expo tomorrow. It's
yes.
the Okeechobee County Centennial Celebration. It's going to be food truck expo, the blood drive, and it's a special day for military and public safety personnel. They bring their ID, they can get a Bassmaster hat for free.
They get good attendance there at the park. They've got a lot of community groups. There's a lot of fishing clubs that help out there. The fishing clubs are strong down there, especially youth fishing clubs, and it's just a strong fishing community down there that loves to show up and be a part of the whole weigh-in and expo scene down there. So that's a great place. We love Okeechobee City.
It's open now. It's open at noon tomorrow too.
We had a storm blow through that place in 2012. Oh my gosh. Turned the stage over, took down every tent, every bit, and miraculously got the expo going for the final day.
I love watching pelicans. They are neat birds.
They're pretty slick, aren't they?
Sure are.
A funny story. All my friends will rag on me now, or they have in the past. I did a photo gallery at Toho one year. Cut lines for some bird photos got mixed up, and I had like pelican, bald eagle, different things. Those were the only cut lines that got mixed up. So for like an hour on the Bassmaster website, Ronnie thought a pelican was a bald eagle, and Ronnie thought a bald eagle was a pelican. And so every time we see a pelican, someone is like, "Look, a bald eagle," and they text me. And
all right.
So.
Well, let's keep that going.
Yeah.
There's no need to lose that reputation. Defo, your day one leader there.
Odd is doing something different every time we go to him. Yes. I like his style. And there's so much going on.
Absolutely.
The guy's catching some.
He's keeping himself in it. He has not been below third place this whole event. And hey, if he has another 31-pound day on the final day, he could be the guy that grabs a trophy.
The neat thing about doing the different things that Odd is doing, you learn as the day goes on. It's certainly great to catch 31 pounds doing one thing like Timmy was doing. I would love to do that. He put on a great show for us yesterday. But when conditions change, if the wind does trash that area that they're in tomorrow, just like I mentioned, I think it'll have a lot to do with how much north versus how much east is in that northeast wind. But when you do the same thing basically for 3 days and then have to adjust versus Ott Defoe, he's looking a little this, looking a little that, seeing a few bedding fish, flipping mats, throwing frogs, just doing a lot of different things. Tomorrow, I certainly expect him to catch a lot of fish. The key will be if he can catch 2 8-pounders like he did the first day.
That would do wonders for his cause. Yeah, he's expanding his world every time he tries something new. So hats off to him for that.
A couple nice fishing. Chad Pipkins with a 6-pounder. He's trying to get in that top 12. He's 15.5. He's maybe closing in on it.
Zona says, I know what that music means. Yeah, it always means we're going to a break here. We have seen some great ones here at this. Oh, man. Look at that.
Beautiful
big fish.
Florida bass.
Wow. Some giants. Jesse Tecarante right there. Kevin Van Dam with a big old big one.
12 ounces.
Oh, man.
One after the other. Greg Hackney, pair of them.
Obviously doing some more of that out there today. Hackney's put himself right in the middle of the top of the standings there. Just a little bit behind Tim Horton, who's hanging on to that lead right there. And Tim Horton, remember, he can make some serious upgrades here. He can make serious upgrades in the final 2 hours of fishing here. Defoe, Cliff Prince, Dean Rojas hanging in there in that top 5. A lot more fishing, a lot more than you think left here on Okeechobee. We'll be right back.
If you love bass fishing, then show your support by joining B.A.S.S today. Since 1968, B.A.S.S has been serving bass fishing enthusiasts with information and tournament coverage that make you a better angler. When you sign up today, you'll join over 500,000 outdoorsmen who love bass fishing. With your membership, you'll receive every issue of Bassmaster magazine, plus $50 in free gear, including a membership tackle bag, B.A.S.S cap, plus more. Log on to Bassmaster.com to join Bass today.
Man, it's slow today. Yep.
Mom, I caught a fish.
Good job, Sonny.
Hey, what kind of lure is that?
It's a Livingston. They have electronic bait fish sounds that activate as soon as they hit the water. Easiest way to catch a fish.
Hey, thanks.
The competition is fierce and the prizes are huge. The only thing missing is you. Fantasy Fishing presented by Toyota. Sign up for free and face fans from across the nation. Grand prize winner receives a Triton Yamaha package, including a Triton 189 TRX. MSRP of $37,293. The classic and each individual elite event winner will receive $2,500 Bass Pro Shops gift cards, with the runner-up receiving a GoPro Hero 4 black camera. Sign up and pick your team today at Bassmasterfantasy.com.
Champions aren't born, they're created. Every turn of the prop, every mile on the lake, every cast of the rod, every fish they catch, and every pound they weigh. It builds who they are. It builds a legacy.
Now for your 2016 Bassmaster Angler of the Year!
Fishing fans, make plans to be at the 2017 Geico Bassmaster Classic, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods, March 24th through the 26th in Houston, Texas. See 52 of the world's best anglers weigh in their catch from Lake Conroe at Minute Maid Park, home of the Houston Astros. A weigh-in show like never before and one you've got to see in person. Check out the biggest outdoors expo in B.A.S.S history, featuring the latest in fishing gear, giveaways, and more. Fun for the whole family and all events are free. Join us in Houston for the Geico Bassmaster Classic and be a part of the most exciting 3 days in fishing, period.
Oh, yeah! Awesome. Awesome. Yes! Woo! It's a big one. Giant. Boom! Dude, and I just got a hook in my hand. Look here. That's bad. Don't tell me, just do it. Just like that. Got it. That's a big one, big one. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, that makes me happy right there. That's a big one. Woo! What's going on here, man? What's up with that? Yes! Yes! Come on, give me some, baby. Give me some. Yes! Those are the kind we need right there. Yeah! Nice! Yes, sir. He's got it. Big one, big one. Yes! Yes! Yeah! Yes! Yeah, boys! Oh, stay on there! Yeah! That's what we after right there, boys.
31 pounds, 7 ounces! The legendary Mr. Rick Clun knocks the lights out! Ricky Clun gets it done! From Lake Wiley, South Carolina, Brett Meyer! 5 pounds, 13 ounces! Brett Meyer smashes him in front of his hometown crowd! Your champion, ladies and gentlemen, let me hear it for Randall Thurm! 16 pounds and 2 ounces! The Honey Badger hammers him on Championship Sunday! Get loud for Takahiro Amore! 16 pounds, 10 ounces! Takahiro Amore, your champion from 21 pounds, 6 ounces. KVD gets it done with win number 21. The Hack Attack whacks them on Championship Sunday. Your champion, Greg Hackney. 12 pounds, 10 ounces. KVD gets it done. 19 pounds, 13 ounces. Justin Lucas lays the lugger to the Potomac River. 12 pounds and an ounce. Defoe is an Elite Series champion. Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year. The G-Man gets it done and finishes in spot number 1.
Think you could win valuable prizes from Bassmaster? You can't know unless you enter, and entering is easy. Go to Bassmaster.com. Enter now for a chance to win a fishing trip with 2016 Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year Gerald Swindle. Trip includes airfare, rental car, hotel, and $500 cash, plus a Triton 17 TX bass boat, Mercury engine, and Gerald's gear from Humminbird, Minn Kota, GoPro, and more. You, the winner of a valuable prize? Could be. All you have to do to get your shot is go to Bassmaster.com and enter today and every day. Hey, it could be you.
What is this meeting about again?
Fishing! Took my boat, boom, jumped over it, and I caught a giant. It was like a whale.
29 pounds, baby!
That's the last time I danced on stage.
Wow. Chief Fishing Officer.
How do I get that job?
I don't know.
Go to teamgtfishing.com to find out more about my real job.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elites at Lake Okeechobee, brought to you live by Hook.
Into the last 2 hours of fishing on Lake Okeechobee, day 3. Bassmaster Elite Series, stop number 2. And man, it's been a good one. And things are far from settled for today. Important 2 hours yet to come, Davey.
Important 2 hours. There's several guys in the top 10 yesterday caught big fish, 5 pound plus in the last few minutes. Octafo told me he basically just stopped because he had 2 minutes to go. Caught a 6.5 pounder in the last few minutes. There'll be some guys that make a move in this last 2 hours.
All right, well, let's take a look at our Yamaha Taste the Bait. We got a big array right here. We're going to run through multiple anglers on our Taste the Bait right now. So, Davey, I'll let you just get right to it.
Well, I want to talk about a few things. I just happen to have some baits, not all the baits the guys are using, but some baits that typically work well in Florida. And Dean Rojas and Timmy Horton are using soft plastic crawfish type baits like you have here. And then, real important, tungsten sinkers. It's really changed the game down here in Florida fishing. Back in the day when I first started fishing and coming to Florida and flipping in that thick vegetation, we just had lead sinkers a long, long time ago, like 20 years ago. And to get a sinker heavy enough to try to penetrate the thick cover, it was huge, you know, twice the size of this tungsten right here.
It makes a big bubbles come up when it came out of the water there.
And, you know, this is a ½ ounce. You know, the tungsten is half the size, which really benefits the fishermen in 2 very critical ways. Number one, they got a smaller profile to be able to go through the cover, which is really, really good. But one thing a lot of people don't think about, we land a larger percentage of the fish with this tungsten because it's smaller. And when a fish inhales the bait, they've got it in the mouth. Timmy talked about them just holding, just being there. And if you think about this, when the fish eats the bait just like you want, it's in its mouth with the mouth closed. But the hook point is not even outside the plastics. You got it rigged, Texas rig, weedless.
Sure.
So you have to move that bait inside the fish's mouth to be able to make the hook come out of the plastic. And to move that bait, the sinker also moves. The bigger the sinker, the more it's going to open the fish's mouth when you move the hook set. And the bigger his mouth is and the more it comes open, the more likely it is for that bait to come out and not penetrate until it gets close to the outside of the mouth, or sometimes even just totally miss the fish because the mouth pops open. Real important, those tungsten sinkers. The other bait that I knew would be used here is the chatterbait. This is there's all kind of different versions. That's why I say vibrating jig, but we refer to a lot of them as just chatterbaits and different. Brett Hyde is probably the most famous chatterbait fisherman out here, and he uses a jackhammer. It's not a chatterbait, it's a jackhammer. He also uses a plastic trailer. He helped design this particular one. I know he's using it. I use it. It's the Yamamoto Senko. It's designed especially for this bait. Subtle action. There's a lot of button tail trailers that we use on swim baits that vibrate and make action, but you have your vibration and your action from this blade on this particular bait. You want the profile. This is a good bulky profile, and then just say a subtle action with the back of this bait that looks more realistic. Just a great combo that a lot of guys are throwing. Stephen Browning using this a lot, Brett Hyde. I guarantee you every elite fisherman that came down here this week through those two setups in practice and in the tournament.
There's a guy who's out there fishing and it just doesn't have the disc, but he just can't be flipping that jig 1,000 times. It wants a moving bait, something to happen there. How do you operate that thing? How does it differ from the way you would do a spinner bait?
Well, it's similar, but it comes through grass better than a spinnerbait. You can make contact better. It's just very similar to spinnerbait as far as vibration, but just comes through the grass better. Dean Rojas basically doing the same thing that Timmy is, a different plastic. Dean's using his Fighting Frog. I didn't have one to show, but soft plastic, tungsten sinker. Timmy is using a black blue swirl, very similar to this. Looks like Dean's using a dark blue, a lighter blue sapphire, and then with the silver crystal, the glitter in the bait that Dean Rojas is using is key down here. A lot of guys use that silver flash in those baits. I noticed that Dean's using the same thing.
That's 5. Sweet. Fighting frog. Getting it done. Love it.
Ask my buddy Debo what he knows about a black and blue fighting frog.
Hey Debo, what do you know about a big bite fighting frog? Catches the big bass, doesn't it? I won a lot of money on that bait right there. I designed that bait about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It's a staple for big bite. We sold hundreds of thousands of them, probably millions of them.
Sales are going up even as we speak here.
From hundreds and thousands to millions. I hope
that's the direction you want to be going in right there. Fighting frog graver for Dean Rojas. Thank you. That's our Yamaha Taste the Bait for right now. And Davey, that was comprehensive. We covered a lot of ground, and we've seen a few other things today, and we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll see something maybe different tomorrow. Who knows? The conditions is what we're worried about tomorrow, how things are going to change, where people are going to go. Let's take a look at Stephen Browning right now. This is moments ago out there for the 3-time Bassmaster winner. Trying to hold his own, stay in there, doing what he can do, and so far has done what he needs to do to stay in the top 12.
Here we go with biggin. I mean a biggin. It's a bass too. I mean it's a bass. Golly, it's not a biggin. Oh my gosh. You freaking kidding me, man? It's gonna help. Oh my gosh. That was just about as nerve-wracking as nerve-wracking can get. Come here, Greenie.
He almost qualified as a jackwagon. He got him so
just
excited.
About did. Just almost did it.
I see you, you big mule. Where's it go? Oh, come here. All right. Oh, yeah. Not even close. Quit. Hey. Ooh. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Stephen is so careful with his fish. He talks to him, and he is doing a good job with fish care. He's talked about that several times today, and I like the way he talks to his fish. And they're his best friend right now for sure.
Absolutely. He wants them to go back and do well. He wants himself to do well as well.
Boy, it seemed like that wind was really picking up, blowing into that south end, but Browning's on the north shore or the west shore, depends on where you're from.
Yeah, what do you prefer?
It seems that the wind's blowing, picking up there more this afternoon than on the south end, like it's coming out of the south.
Yeah.
Camera was down, but we got Timmy Horton with a 5th fish. It was maybe a pound. So he's up to 10.5. But
a huge pound, though.
Oh, yeah.
Huge pound.
It's a limit right there.
Not seen an airboat all week till today. Let's catch one right here.
Timmy said that he hadn't seen an airboat all week until today, and I thought he was maybe saying that was a negative thing. But then he said, "I catch one right here." That's what I was thinking, that it can be a positive thing. I don't think bass are going to leave those thick reeds that they've moved up in because an airboat comes by, because it's something that happens all the time in South Florida. The one thing it will do is those tilapia, as I mentioned earlier, very spooky, very skittish. And it'll startle them and make them run, and sometimes that'll trigger the bass bite, because those tilapia, are running out and creating, getting themselves exposed, and those fish will take advantage of that. So it can be a good thing, some noise, sometimes certainly in Florida.
Defoe doing a good job keeping himself on the calmest part of Lake Okeechobee. He hadn't seen a ripple all day, and I'm sure that's by design.
Yep, he's one of the ones. Cliff Prince and Ott seem to be easing around real quietly in these calm areas up in the day, looking for sight fish, looking for bedding fish to try to catch. I think it's a good idea for sure.
Dean talking earlier about his big day almost 2 decades ago now. Getting closer to 2 decades for 40 pounds and 5 ounces in a single day. Bedding fish then for sure as well.
Yep. On a calm day just like this. I was there with about 40 pounds less than 45 pounds. Maybe not quite that bad, but certainly didn't have 45 pounds that day. I like what Steven's doing. He did really well with the spinning rod when it was calm. Where he's at on lake, you look at other guys, he's got more wind than any of the rest of them. He's picked his vibrating jig back up, throwing his chatterbait. Got a good chance to catch him a big one with that wind blowing a little bit.
Of our 5, we've seen him catch more today than anyone.
Yep.
Numbers wise.
One of these guys are going to catch a big fish between 9 weigh in. I guarantee it. Ooh.
Greg Hackney, unofficially the big producer today with 24 plus, unofficially, according to Bass Track. Moved himself up into 2nd place.
This event just says Greg Hackney. Like, just big rod, big line. You can flip a jig, you can punch, you can do whatever you want. It just feels like Greg Hackney.
No matter who our leader is, if it's not Greg Hackney, if Greg Hackney's in 2nd, that leader tomorrow is going to, he'd rather have a lot of people right behind them than Greg Hackney, I guarantee.
That's right. He's going to feel like a couple of those men is looking at George in the other end of the tank there, right?
Exactly. Hope you're not hungry today, George.
Especially with Hackney bringing in, possibly 24, 25 pounds today. It's one thing if Hackney's tailing off, but it looks like he's just gaining steam.
Has he caught us 8-pounder this week?
No,
he's right there.
He had 20 pounds, and then he had high 19s yesterday. So he has been one of the most consistent guys there, but no big ones. So he got his big one today. And it's 8.5 on Bass Track. It could be 9.5. It could be 8 even. So, you know, you just don't know.
If he's in second tomorrow morning, we probably need the Darth Vader music.
Yeah,
when he rolls out.
That's where you roll out your Darth Vader music because
dum, dum, dum.
He's coming to destroy you.
Suck your eyeballs out.
Well, on a good day.
Yep. And smile while he's doing it. Not saying that he will.
No?
But he's certainly one to fear if he's in second place tomorrow. Like I said, with a big rod on the deck, a flipping stick with braided line through it, and a jig, or like I showed there, a big tungsten sinker with a piece of plastic on it. Greg Hackney has made a lot of money.
If we ended right now, it'd be a 15-pound spread from first to 12th place. I wonder how many of those people are legitimately going to be able to say, I could get it done today.
That's a great question, but I actually was in the event that Paul Elias won to set the record. And Terry Scroggins was 25 pounds behind him. Now, we're not at Falcon Lake.
No, but
Okeechobee isn't far from Falcon Lake. Certainly a guy can recover from 15 pounds.
Here's your winning weights.
That's Falcon Lake, 2012.
Century Club weights right there.
Century Club. Yep.
Yeah.
Okeechobee's trying to be the
Okeechobee
another
right
lake
there.
to
I mentioned
get twice,
Falcon and Okeechobee, certainly not far apart.
Absolutely. Of course, the free radical there's Paul Elias in 2008 with 132 pounds and 8 ounces. That's that's the all-timer, and that's the one that stands and may never be broken.
Came within 3 or 4 ounces of not winning with 132 pounds.
25 pounds. It brings us right full circle back to Scroggins. 25 pounds back. Hey, that means you can't lock out anybody who's 15 pounds back tomorrow on Okeechobee.
On Lake Okeechobee, 15 pounds. You better not order pizza too early tomorrow.
No. You might order up some nervous pills before you get there.
Just incredible fisheries. It's all relative. A 10-pound lead on one body of water is insurmountable.
It's a very methodical deal, but I mean, I just know that you're not going to miss one. Look at here, got him right there.
You got a bite all the way down. First cast.
Get up out of that grass. Come on here. I don't think it'll help, but it may. Blinded. Nope. That's the one I just let go. I don't know. Getting into that cookie cutting stage, you know. Hey, get on back down in there. Just go ahead and do it right.
I just enjoy listening to Stephen talk to the fish.
Oh, yeah.
Better than anything I can come up with.
See what I'm talking about on that little worm. Quick. God, dog it. Oh, don't start doing it. Don't start all that. I know it. I don't like to be, I don't want to like to be by that either. I need to get my,
They talking back to him because he said, don't do that. And then he said, I know it. I just wish I could hear what the fish were saying.
He's creating the whole conversation himself there. That's pretty cool.
He's having fun. He's having a good time.
Absolutely. Right where he wants to be.
He's using the force to talk to the bass.
That's right.
He picked up that chatterbait and gave it a good try with a little bit of wind. laid it down in first cast with that finesse rig. Had a bite. Before it even got to the bottom, did you hear him say there's one already before he even flipped the bail? So I bet he'll pick it back up now, not the chatterbait.
I'm thinking so too. He is the guy who is catching the numbers today among our 5.
Fatter, but this one's longer.
Rapala 5 live. He's even running with 2 Bassmaster Open wins, also one back on the old Bassmaster Tour, which is the forerunner of the Bassmaster Elite Series.
That's another guy that's been catching more fish, more numbers than any of the Rapala Live 5 that we've had. Been very versatile all week. Flipping the mat 1 minute, looking for sight fish the other, throwing a frog.
Frog, yeah.
Got his shoes back on. That's another change he's made. Or sandals. I'm gonna recommend he keep them off all day tomorrow. He seems to catch more fish with his sandals off. You see how quiet he's trying to be. He's like he's standing on his tiptoes right there, flipping and pitching. He understands how weary those bigger fish are when it's calm.
We saw him running that frog kneeling down on his deck early this morning. I mean, he knows the importance of stealth, I guess.
Absolutely. That stuff matters. It really matters, and he certainly understands that.
David,
now, when the wind's blowing 20 miles an hour, not so much.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Davey. So, braid is really, abrasion resistant. We talked about that retying yesterday, but a lot of these guys flipping those heavier weights, when you crack a fish and set the hook hard, if you don't have an...
It's hooked up. Nope. Speaking of
cracking.
Ooh.
Guess I need to put a bigger weight on. He won't call nothing, but that's crazy that I caught him out of there like that to me. I'm 99% sure he won't call nothing.
Well, I assume his bait just laid on top of the mat, and that one came up and got it, huh?
Yeah, I think that's what he meant by saying he needed a heavier weight.
I pitched that thing 30 foot in the air and it hit the water and he grabbed it.
He mentioned pitching the bait up 30 feet in the air for guys that didn't catch what he was talking about. He knew his sinker was not heavy enough really to penetrate that thicker mat, so he just pitch it instead of low to the water like you normally would, pitch it up really high for it to gain momentum, to be able to go down in the mat. And I'm like you, Tommy, I think it didn't go through the mat even though he pitched it 30 feet in the air and the fish hit it before it could even come through the mat. So I probably would put on a heavier sinker also.
That was part of my question, was how important is it to have an insert in some of these bigger weights when you're flipping an ounce to, when you set the hook, that's a lot of strain on your line. So making sure, you put an insert in your weight or having a big tungsten that already has an insert in it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because the tungsten is so hard. It's harder than lead, and it'll cut your line quicker than lead. I think it's real important to use a quality tungsten sinker. There's a lot of different tungsten sinkers. I use the VMC tungsten myself personally. And the quality of how it's finished, whether it has an insert or not, all that is very, very important. One thing I do with all my tungsten sinkers, and I always have, I test them before I put them in my tackle box. I put them on a piece of monofilament that is soft line, and I run them up and down, and I move them around. If there's any little sharp edge on that tungsten sinker, it'll scar your weight. I chunk it. It don't make it to Davy's box. I think it's real important to take time to do that because you use it on braided line. Usually you're not going to lose many of them. It takes about an hour or two to do it before every season I fish the Elite Series. I check every single sinker.
That's a good tip for someone who's not just, goes and buys a big weight and tries to do this, but doesn't. That's an important detail that you guys pick up that others might not.
Yeah. Well, it's so critical. This tournament is like all of them. One big fish, break off one big fish, lose one big fish means first place prize of $100,000 or second place at $25,000. So $75,000. You need to check your sinkers and don't always necessarily buy the cheaper ones.
Speaking of big fish, Andy Montgomery just in the blog, they're going to have a picture of a huge fish coming in. They haven't put it in Bass Track yet, so I don't know if it's an 8 or a 9, but it's up there.
Wow. Giant coal.
He jumped in the top 12 at like 8th or 9th, right?
9th place, yeah.
He and Ott Defoe roomed together. Boy, I sure would have liked to call that 8 or 9.
Gosh, would that help him out?
Help a brother out.
Absolutely, help his cause right there. Ott Defoe, our first day leader, hanging in there, staying in the top 3 throughout the entirety of this tournament. And again, that's a pretty good accomplishment. Steve Browning, steady today, staying up with the leaders as well. Cliff Prince staying in there, Dean Rojas. Tim Horton, man on top still, and he's got a lot of room left to grow. He's got some small fish in his live well, so if he can get on something, it'll be meaningful.
The ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee is brought to you by Shell Rotella, Yamaha, Triton Boats, Toyota, Power Pole, and by Skeeter Boats. Continually proven on the tournament trail and with Skeeter owners everywhere with 14 consecutive NMMA CSI Consumer Satisfaction Awards. Our competition doesn't even come close. Right now, buy, save, fish with up to $1,500 in instant rebates through March 31st, including the newly redesigned limited edition FX series. Now is the best time to buy, save, fish. Skeeter.
Is there a place where the underwater images are the clearest you've ever seen? We're seeing every fish, we're seing every detail of structure, and where every bottom contour was visible, where whatever you wanted to see below the surface was real. Do you want to go? Structure Scan 3D is the future of fishing. We can show you how to find fish faster and catch fish in a way you've never experienced. Let's get them.
Is this being in the moment? Is this hanging out? And is this really playing with your kid? Don't stop what you're doing to capture what you're doing. Keep running, keep playing, keep dancing. Just keep doing.
GoPro, start recording.
Champions aren't born, they're created. Every turn of the prop, every mile on the lake, every cast of the rod, every fish they catch, and every pound they weigh. It builds who they are. It builds a legacy.
For your 2016 Bassmaster Angler of the Year!
Facts matter. All monofilament is not the same. Berkley is the strongest, smoothest, most dependable monofilament line in the world. Why would you risk your fishing trip to a line that's made who knows where just to save a buck? Berkley has been making and perfecting trilene in America for over 75 years. I spool nothing less than the best. That's Berkley trilene, and that is a fact.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee, brought to you live by Hook.
Hour and a half's fishing time left. This is our final hour of coverage. Bassmaster Live, 1 month from this weekend, March 24th, 25th, 26th, the World Championship of Bass Fishing. The pinnacle, the life-changing achievement of winning this one right here will be decided for 2017 on Lake Conroe. The weigh-in will be at Minute Maid Park. right there in downtown Houston, Texas. Going to be a fantastic, plenty of seats. You will have a place to sit and watch it all under these very impressive surroundings in a huge sports town, Houston, Texas. I want to think about a trip for the weekend if you're living in Houston or the Gulf Coast. Yeah, just motor on down for the weekend. 1 day, 2 day, all 3 days of competition here. See Edwin Evers, among others, trying to defend his title there. He wouldn't be a bad bet on Conroe.
No, he certainly wouldn't. Edwin, he's had a slower start this year than normal, but he's looking forward to the Classic, that's for sure.
I think he's all wound up to shake all that off and come back with a vengeance, put a hurt on some people. We take a look at our Humminbird Lay of the Lake, Lake Okeechobee. First time we've been here, the Bassmaster Elite Series since 2012. Take a look at some of the spots these anglers are occupying today, and Tim Horton went to this spot over here after about an hour's fishing time on day number 2, and really, except for one foray around the corner, has stayed there all day long. And I get the idea you like that plan.
Oh, absolutely. And he put on a show yesterday like none I've ever seen. 30 pounds, we saw all his catches, landed every fish, every bite. He's in a great area. Concerned about the wind tomorrow for him tomorrow.
Dean Rojas likes that spot as well, over close to Clewiston, Florida. Another place where a lot of tournaments come out of. There we find Greg Hackney, who's had the biggest day of all our anglers out there today. It's like about 24 pounds for Greg Hackney, 24 and change. Hot Depot, kind of splitting the difference there.
Hot's kind of in the middle, doing a lot of different things over the course of this week, and really been catching lots of fish. Just haven't had those big bites since the first day. Cliff Prince, a guy that I'm still saying you better keep your eyes on him all the way up to weigh-in. He might catch one in the last 30 minutes, makes a big difference for him.
Also in the monkey box, there he is, Stephen Browning, the catchinest guy we've seen all day among our Rapala 5 Live.
He's really dialed in today. Yesterday, caught a lot of fish, but not many big ones at all, but he's caught a lot of 3.5, 4 pound fish today. That's helped him a lot.
Odd on the right, Steve Browning on the left. And we're live.
Boy, it's interesting. Every time we go to Odd Live, looks like he's in a different lake.
Yeah.
Just different cover, doing a lot of things, just trying to get that big bite,
Go from a 2 ounce to a 1/2 ounce. I think I'm actually gonna up it to a 3/4 though.
He just mentioned that he had gone down to a 1/2 ounce sinker, and he's going to change and put a 3/4 on there. Somebody like Timmy and Dean probably have 4 or 5 rods, all with different. Just the only difference is different sized tungsten sinkers. Where Odd has got so many baits tied on.
He's throwing different baits.
You can't have. He doesn't have room but for 1 or 2 rods with that because he's throwing so many different baits.
So he's got to change the weight on the one he's working with. It'll take him a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Stephen Browning,
missed one.
Yeah, that spinning rod he's had for a long time now.
That's really doing a good thing here. Oftentimes you get caught up. Time means everything when you're fishing a bass tournament, so you don't want to waste any time. Often I would not take the time to switch sinker sizes, even though the fish basically told him you need to do that a minute ago when he had to pitch his bait 30 feet in the air to try to get it go down, and it didn't. And that fish said, hey, some of us are under these mats. Maybe you need to put a heavier sinker on, and stop, take the time to do it. When a fish gives you that clue, you need to listen to him.
Time you spend doing this and nothing compared to time you would spend wasting doing something that's not productive.
Pitching a bait that won't penetrate the cover, absolutely. Somebody focus. It's interesting, the Rapala Live 5 we got here going on right now. I'm gonna be willing to bet obviously we've seen that Timmy Horton has only fished with one bait, one technique, and he's leading the event. Greg Hackney probably the same, either a jig or a plastic bait on a tungsten sinker. And Octafo, Browning, and Prince are using a lot of different baits, sight fishing some, just switching it up. And so you've got an interesting 5 there with it. 3rd, 4th, and 5th, fishing the conditions more. And Horton and Greg Hackney fishing for big bites, not many of them, not catching as many fish, but catching quality fish.
Will be so interesting to see which of those two philosophies is going to prevail when it's all said and done tomorrow afternoon, weigh in at 3:15, Sunday afternoon, 3:15 Eastern time, and that's when the 12 will take the stage, and that's when we'll settle this thing. Of course, we got to get to the 12. That's today's weigh in at 3:15.
Big fight there. 3 pounds, 13 ounces from 8th place to 19th place.
Who's that?
That's the difference from 8th place to 19th place is 3 pounds, 13 ounces. So
wow.
There's going to be some jumbling there. Dave Lefebvre has a really good story. He started day 1 in 100th place.
Wow.
And he's vying to get in the top 12.
David Fritz in 12th place right now. It'd be neat to see him shake them up.
Man,
and like we said, no one's out of it 15 pounds back.
Heck no.
That would be interesting.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a fun day tomorrow. I guarantee you. The guys jockeying for that position, look at the names. I mean, Pipkins, Fritz, Crete, Takarani, Brett Height, Bill Lowen also got a shot at getting in there. And like you said, Dave Lefebvre, George Bertram, too. I mean, it's going to be a dogfight for that 12th position there when we get to the weigh-in stage today with Dave Mercer.
Talk about a great start to the year. Josh Bertrand was one of the guys that fished 5 live on Sunday at Cherokee. He started the day in 5th place, so he made a top 12 there, and he's looking to make back-to-back.
One more day would be meaningful for his season-long campaign for sure.
Not to catch one as big as that gator is proportionately.
Andy Montgomery did it again. Don't have a weight on it, but the photo that just came in is in the 5 to 6 pound at least range.
Wow.
And that might move him into the top 5.
Sure might.
Wow.
Maybe.
I mentioned that Andy and Otter, roommates, they share information. Ott probably has shown him some love, but he'll be wanting a little payback.
Yeah,
how'd you catch those 2 big ones late in the afternoon?
Yeah, he's going to demand
Kevin
his
just
payment
landed
in
an
kind.
8. Kevin Van Dam just caught an 8 pounder.
No
Coming on
kidding.
Bass Track. Yeah, the big ones are biting right now.
Kevin made a good move yesterday after a tough first day, but even with his good stringer yesterday, he said he lost several really big fish. Should have had 30-pound plus bag yesterday. He was kind of mad at him last night.
He can get that way.
You were supposed to be a lot bigger than that. Look how fat that fish is, though.
Those bites feel the same whether they're 2 pounds or 10 pounds.
Do they really?
Yeah.
That's just,
some days the smaller ones bite harder.
As big as that. And or that. And
Boy, he's got all cookie cutters there.
He really does.
One big fish would be huge for him.
He had one that was longer than the rest, but it was, as they used to say, poor as a snake, so he's gonna weigh out the same.
yeah, one's big, but he don't weigh nothing. Nope, not even close. You're pretty fish. I mean, it's a good chunky fish.
Every ounce counts. You had to put them on a balance beam.
Don't fail to pay attention to every move you make around the live well there. We're going to pay attention to Dave Mercer because we got Triton on the line. Hookup with Dave going right now. Back at the weigh-in, getting closer and closer. He's got one of our A-list guys we talk about there, A-list guy, Justin Lucas. Dave, start the conversation for us.
Thanks very much, Tommy and Davey. And wow, we got a tournament. As you guys said, it's getting tighter and tighter. And Justin, we were just talking about it. Before we talk about this event or the anglers on the water right now, let's talk about what we were just talking about. It's a different season this year.
That, don't you?
Just because, I mean, you're a perennial top 10 guy, you know, as far as Angler of the Year. And you're not just you, but Chris Zaldane, several guys, young guys. And then, you know, you look at Skeet missing the cut, Aaron missing the cut, Ike missing the cut. It's shocking how many of the classic anglers have started a little slowly here. There's no excuses in any sport, obviously, but do you think that the two events before it may have affected some of the anglers?
I mean, I could say that with 100% fact, you know, that it definitely affected me. When we got to the first tournament at Cherokee, I told you a second ago, I saw Casey Ashley on the water and said, it just doesn't feel right that we're starting a tournament right now. And, you know, it's kind of hard to explain that because you think, hey, it's a tournament. You got to go out there and catch what you can and do what you can. But normally we have something else on our minds at the beginning of the year, and that's the Classic. And it still is on my mind. It's been on, you know, I've been having to worry about Conroe coming up and now Hartwell coming up. And I'm worrying about all these things when I need to be focused on what's in front of me. And I just haven't been fishing at the first two events either. You know, I started the year off with the 4th place at the Harris Chain and the Bass Open, Southern Open, and really thought that was going to kind of get the year rolling right. But I just, you know, haven't been able to put it together. And it's no one's fault but my own. That's what I love about the sport is that you have to eat it. You know, when you suck, you can't blame anybody. I can't blame the fact that we have 2 tournaments before the Classic. But it has messed with my head. So I've got to learn to figure out how to get over that hurdle and, you know, hopefully come back with the rest of the year. Hopefully it's a good fairy tale ending, you know, as we get towards the end. This is a new position for me because I started every single year on the Elite Series with the top 10 in the first or both the first 2 tournaments. And so to be in the bottom 10 in the first 2 tournaments or, you know, bottom 10 in the points now, something like that, it's a new spot for me. But, you know, I'm looking forward to the challenge. And I think it'll make me a better fisherman going forward. That's the only, you know, if I don't look at it like that, I'm not supposed to be out here. So that's the mindset I have right now.
Well, you get a mulligan on this one because obviously Aerie, one of your title sponsors and the title sponsor of this event. So we talked on the weigh-in stage. He totally planned this. He wanted to be here to work with his sponsor.
I think everybody's just happy they don't have to see the commercial every single time during Bass Live now. They were getting tired of that last year. I got more phone calls and texts about the commercial than how I was fishing. I'm like, come on, guys, don't worry about the commercial. So now they don't have to see it. You guys are welcome.
Timmy Horton has had an incredible tournament, and we saw some heartbreaking, that 9-pounder this morning. What is that like as a competitor? What does that do to you, and how do you recover? I don't know if, you know, statistically you can cover from losing a 9-pounder. I mean, unless you catch 5 more 9-pounders, which is, hey, Dean Rojas wouldn't be happy with that because you'd break his record. But how do you recover with that and continue to compete?
Well, I think we're seeing it today. I think the area specifically might have taken some of that pressure yesterday. You know, you see what Dean's doing and Tim, and they're both not catching what they caught yesterday up to this point. So, but when you lose a fish like that, you know, and I agree with Davey about how it all went down. As soon as I saw him grab that line, I was like, oh, please don't, you know, I want Timmy to win this tournament. I mean, it's been a while for him. He's one of the, you know, the veteran guys that when he's up there and has a chance to win a tournament, he knows how to do it, number one, and he's one of the guys that you would pull for to win too. So, you know, I want to see him do well. When I saw him lose that fish, I mean, I'm sitting there drinking coffee, and I'm like, oh, I almost spit it out, you know, like that's a gut wrencher right there. But certainly he has the ability and the experience to pull through that. But, you know, we're looking at it now. We're looking at the weather tomorrow. We're seeing all these things factor in, and there might need to be some changes that may need to be made if the area is not going to keep producing like that. And, of course, we're seeing Hackney now. I knew from the get-go when he had 19, 20 pounds on day one, I'm like, oh, man, this guy, he's just a freak. And when it comes to flipping, You can't count that. You cannot count him out, and he is loving every minute right now. Probably boat flipping, 6-7 pounders every chance he gets. And he's going to be a dangerous guy to watch this week too. So I've been telling multiple people already, tomorrow is going to be a very fun Bass Live to watch because of the curveball, the wind, and the weather coming, cooler weather coming in, and these guys fishing on the south end of the lake that are leading that tournament. It's really gonna, it's gonna be fun to watch, dude. I'm looking forward to watching it.
When you look at Tim Horton's record, it's crazy that he's won 4 events and 3 of them by over 13 pounds. What makes him specifically to win them like that? I mean, it tells me he's got to be a guy who finds something off to himself, not quite by himself as we've seen on Bassmaster Live. But why?
Well, if he did, it's the way he practices. It's the type of fisherman that he is. There's guys that go out there and get checks. Timmy's not necessarily one of the guys that just always gets a check, but when he's in contention to win, you better watch out because he might be getting ready to really kick your butt, and he was doing that this week. Obviously, he's sharing water with Dean, so that's eating up some of the population in there. But if he had that to himself, it would have been a blowout. But we're seeing the effects of 2 anglers in the area now.
2 30-pound bags been weighed in this tournament on day 1. We obviously saw it weighed in by Ott Defoe, 31 pounds, 3 ounces, and what a run he's been on. Going back to last season. Confidence, momentum, we talk about it a lot. Is it just something that writers write about, or is it real?
No, it's 100% real. When you get in the groove and things are clicking, you really feel it out there on the water, and you just make a lot of good decisions. And they pay off, and I can tell you, when you're not making those decisions, hey, I was out there yesterday running around. Every decision I make, I feel like is the wrong one. And that's not the side that you want to be on. Obviously, when you're making those decisions, you're on the right side like Ott is right now. Man, he's fishing crazy good the last 6-8 months, whatever, and it's fun to watch. He's one of the young guys. He's a little bit older than I am, and he's going to be around for a long time, man. We've seen him, how consistent he is. Now he's figuring out how to really make a charge up the leaderboard, and he is a very fun guy to compete against. He's a good guy too. Another one of the guys you root for.
2 30-pound bags weighed in so far. Ott Defoe, of course, Timmy Horton. And when you watch this footage, you said it was painful for you to see that this morning. But watching the footage, was there anything that you're saying, I missed the boat on that? That's what I did wrong, or was it just areas?
It's always easy to say that. Florida, Okeechobee specifically, is totally area driven. It all looks the same. I mean, I know on the map where Timmy and Dean are at, but honestly, if I saw it, I don't know that I would have fished it, because it all looks the same. It's all about putting the trolling motor down, spending a lot of time covering a bunch of water, finding those small groups, and then working those groups over, and expanding them as much as you can throughout the tournament. But yeah, man, there's a lot of things I would have done different. Could always say that. It's just a never-ending learning experience, and I'm going to take it like that.
That's the coolest thing about the sport of fishing. You never stop learning. If you don't believe that, ask Rick Clunn. I mean, been at it longer than anybody, and he says you never stop learning.
For sure.
I know you are going to have a big turnaround in the rest of the season here. Starting at the Classic. Outside of the Classic, what events are you looking forward to specifically this year?
Honestly, I mean, this shouldn't be the way it is, but I'm really looking forward to the next Southern Open at Chickamauga. It's going to be Spawn, and it's close to my house, Tennessee River. I love that area of the country. I fished really well there before, so I really want to win that tournament. That one's on my radar to win. As far as Elite Series go, I'm looking forward to the rest of them. Like I've told everybody in the past, I've had 3 great seasons at Angler of the Year, point standings, and it hasn't been really because I have favorite places other than the California Delta, of course. But, I like the challenge and adversity of going to all the different places, so I look forward to every event, and we have 7 more really important ones on the Elite Series, and looking forward to each one of them equally as much.
Well, I look forward to hanging out with you all season long, but not here on Bassmaster Live. This is it.
Saturdays here suck.
Yeah, well, Saturdays from now on, he's going to be on the water. But Justin Lucas, want to thank you. Going to be hanging out at the ARE booth, so if you're in a local area, get down and meet Justin Lucas and Tommy, Davey, and the myriad of hosts back at the studio. Back to you guys.
Yeah, let's get the myriad cranked up there. Great having Justin Lucas on there. Hey, you think about it, he's talking about 8th place last year, AOY. The year before that, it was great. And Ronnie, the West Coast guys a couple of years ago had a great year. But look at the West Coast guys this year. Zaldane, 8th place last year. Look at where he is now. Look where Justin Lucas is right. Skeet Reese is right now. It's not been an easy year for the West Coast guys, right?
And I don't know if that's just based off location where they're from. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's like a West Coast struggling thing, but I think it's the way they fish. They're champions. You know, they fish that specific way. That's why they have such a great reputation. So I think that they're all fishing similar ways. So when they all get in that same rut, it seems to translate. That's why they're always in the top 10 and top 20. And then when they're in the bottom 10, bottom 20, it's probably not a surprise to us why multiple are, because they probably were looking and thinking about the same way of fishing.
Is that the way you see it? The West Coast guys have a different story, coming from a different planet a little bit?
A little bit for sure.
Yeah.
But I think you hit on the same thing that Justin was talking about with Timmy Horton. The 3 victories of 13 pounds or more is because he fishes to win. And I think that's what some of those guys that we mentioned from the West Coast, they fish to win. And you don't see them in the middle of the pack. They're in the top or the bottom. I was certainly guilty of that in my career. And by my accent, you can tell I'm not from the West Coast. But I think traveling from the West Coast all the way over where most of the tournaments are east of Texas, you have to be a champion, because you would have never moved and changed your life to try to commit to fish Bassmaster Tournament Trail for a living if you weren't a natural-born winner and a champion. You didn't move from coast to coast to try to make your living making a check. You did it because you're driven to win. And you see guys that win tournaments that they're just going to have those bad tournaments because they're not going out there to try and just make a check, so to speak. And even though $10,000, it gets on your mind because it is a lot of money. But there's different type fishermen, and there's nothing wrong either way you choose to be. But guys that fish to win, like I think Justin Lucas was exactly right, that Timmy Horton is one of those, but those guys will stumble sometime. And it's new territory for Justin Lucas on the Elite Trail to have back-to-back bad tournaments and to be down in the lower 10 in the points, but I will guarantee you he's not going to stay there long.
All right, let's take a look at our Phoenix Boats Big Bass of the tournament right now. We're going to take a look at that. We haven't shown that to you today, and there he is right there, Tyler Carrere. We saw him last week, taking a Hollywood star turn with his nephew out there on Cherokee Lake, talking to Dave Mercer. But boy, he was doing it for himself on day number 1. Andy Montgomery is the guy who may knock that bass out of Big Bass. Look at that. Well, pretty similar size right there.
That's a nice cull there, do you think? No balance being needed there.
Yes.
Wow.
We've had tournaments won with totals that are greater than the difference between less than the difference between those two bass.
That makes you smile when you make that kind of cull. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
He'll crack in the top 12.
Yeah, he fouled that up with another nice one, and about 23-12 right now, and sixth place.
Oh, wow. Cracking the top 12. He's going to crack in the top 5.
No doubt. Timmy Horton still on top, and Justin Lucas. And you, David, making a good point about he's one of those guys that's just not going to fish to get a check. But you're the guy to talk to about it. You're the poster boy for that frame of mind. I mean, I guess it's something in your makeup. Some people are thrilled. Yep. Getting a check, making a living, living the dream out there. But for you, not enough.
It's just different. And like I said, I don't want to sound like making a $10,000 check is something that shouldn't be on your mind. It's a lot of money. 51st place is $10,000. But it's just not in my makeup to think, wow, what can I do to finish 40th? Yeah. And there's guys that do that. There's guys that look at their computer every morning. They look at the leaderboard. And what is it going to take to make 51st place? I will admit I've looked at that before, but that's just not in my mentality. A lot of times I won't even look at what it takes. Catch all you can to try to win. If you finish 100th, you tried to win. If you finish first, you tried to win. It's the same mindset, and some guys are different than others.
Something to think about as we get closer and closer to the end of this day number 3 of fishing Lake Okeechobee. ARE Truck Cap's Bassmaster Elite event here. And Tim Horton still on top at Hackney, the big move for the day. Ott Defoe, Browning, and that battle for the 12th place spot. Getting in the top 12 is essential for today because anyone in that group would have a shot at the win. Take a break, be right back.
Man, it's slow today.
Yep.
Hey, what kind of lure is that?
It's a Livingston. They have electronic bait fish sounds that activate as soon as they hit the water. Easiest way to catch a fish.
Hey, thanks.
Think you could win valuable prizes from Bassmaster? You can't know unless you enter, and entering is easy. Go to Bassmaster.com. Enter now for a chance to win a fishing trip with 2016 Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year Gerald Swindle. Trip includes airfare, rental car, hotel, and $500 cash. Plus a Triton 17TX bass boat, Mercury engine, and Gerald's gear from Humminbird, Minn Kota, GoPro, and more. You, the winner of a valuable prize? Could be. All you have to do to get your shot is go to Bassmaster.com and enter today and every day. Hey, it could be you.
Hey, thanks, Dave.
Out of office?
Oh, man. Hi, this is Skeet.
Skeet, out of office?
Dude, don't be mad because I thought of it.
What?
I gotta go. I got someone on the line.
Go to teamgtfishing.com to check out my real job.
We're supposed to be working. I am working.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Lake Okeechobee, brought to you live by Hook.
ARE Truck Caps Bassmaster Elite on Okeechobee. Have we mentioned that there's another big tournament coming up? I can't remember, but it's this one right here, the most important bass fishing event of them all, the World Championship, the Geico Bassmaster Classic this year for the first time from one of the biggest cities in the United States, Houston, Texas. Ought to have a warm welcome there. People Southeast Texas and East Texas all showing up. East Texas is a huge bass fishing country, so the culture is gigantic there. Kind of like Tulsa, only even on a larger scale. Big Sporting Goods is the sponsor of the Bassmaster Classic Expo. That'll be fantastic as well from the George R. Brown Center. Minute Maid Park is where we'll have the weigh-ins, the big baseball stadium, everything first class all the way. Houston, Texas, a month from this weekend, 24th, 25th, 26th of March. Tomorrow morning, we have some more Bassmaster Live for you. Another 6 hours. As a matter of fact, and I'm with you, Davey, and Justin Lucas was saying there, tomorrow is going to be
great.
Interesting day to see what pans out, see what approach, what philosophy is going to prevail on the final day and award a very valuable Bassmaster Elite Series win to someone in that top 12. The top 12 is yet to be established. There's plenty more business to be settled before this day is done. Hot Defo on the right. Stephen Browning on the left.
Shaking up to be quite a group of 12 to be fishing tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, and we really don't know who it's going to be at this point. So close in there.
Hip, hip, hoorah. Come on one time.
These are the two anglers fishing probably the closest to the weigh-in, Okeechobee City, Florida.
Boy, Andy Montgomery, he's going to be a player tomorrow. The way he's catching them today, and he's 10 pounds back, but 10 pounds is the way he's caught those couple big ones late this afternoon. Some guys we haven't really talked about all week might be scaring some folks tomorrow afternoon.
He's been one of those guys that's been sort of lurking under the top 12 for the most part the last couple of years. And, you're thinking this guy's, man, he's got it all. He's got all the tools. He's a very talented fisherman. He's going to break through, and this may be his time.
Guy who's fallen down is Randall Tharp. He's in 20th now. He's under 10 pounds still, but he gets one of those big fish, he jumps right back in and knocks somebody else out.
Randall Tharp, one of the big pre-tournament favorites out here. Another guy that I think has that reputation, fishes to win. He's one of those guys. He's absolutely. That whole philosophy makes you wind up in different places than the rest of the guys.
It does. A lot of folks that haven't
Jesse
fished
had
many
28
tournaments.
yesterday, didn't he?
They-
Jesse,
let's listen to Stephen here for a second.
Somebody. It looks like his boat. Maybe not. Some guy had 28. Igneo rod. Come on, Big.
Okay, you would get, yeah, absolutely.
But the fishing to win for bigger fish, and it seems comical. We should all be fishing for big fish and to win, but there's a different mentality, and I'd like to elaborate on that just a little bit. When you fish to win, you try to separate yourself from the crowds, which is really tough to do. But to win with the level of competition, just like we've seen in the monkey box, those guys yesterday, they all almost cost themselves having an opportunity to win. Other than a couple guys, there was probably 30 boats in there. You get really good fishermen going round and round. You just divide those fish up, split those fish up, and a lot of people make checks and no one has a chance to win. Timmy is over there with only one person. Greg Hackney is that kind of guy. We finally saw him on a map, and he's a little bit different than anyone else we've seen that's doing well in the tournament. Randall Tharp, like you mentioned. Those guys are going to have a few bad tournaments, but they're certainly going to be guys that are going to win tournaments. That's just one of the ways that they fish to win. Using the same baits, but trying to find subtle, out-of-the-way places that they can have to themselves.
You look at Hackney last year in Florida, St. John's River, fishing a little canal that nobody else, a little neighborhood, nobody else had bothered to check out, and actually almost pulling it off there.
One thing you guys mentioned, Andy Montgomery, a couple minutes ago, a chance to really have an impact on the final day tomorrow. In his live well right now, his 5 fish, he's got an approximate 10-pounder. Obviously, we'll verify that at weigh-in. So he's got a 10, a 6, a 3 3/4, and 2 2-pounders. So he has so much. He has literally 2 giants, 1 all right fish for Florida, and 2 squeakers that he can definitely get rid of.
So he could be in the top 3 easily before we
He catches a 5-pounder, and he'll be pushing upper 20s.
It's going to happen just like yesterday. One of those guys, I hope they do it before we go off live.
Yeah.
But one of these guys that are in the top 10 are going to catch a 6+ pounder to put themselves right in the thick of things tomorrow morning.
Jesse Takarante's in the same boat as Tharp. He's only got 12.8 and he's fallen to 14th, and he was started 8th.
It would be really cool to maybe call in if Tharp didn't make the final day tomorrow, to have him call in and give his perspective, since he knows this place so well.
Lots of
on how it played out for him, if it played out like he thought.
If we could get Mercer to talk to him tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Get a little Triton on the line going. Yeah, we talk about guys with still plenty of headroom, room to grow their limits. That also includes Tim Horton, and Dean Rojas, in a big way.
All 4 of those guys, any one of them catch a 7-pounder.
Oh,
be huge.
I'm gonna take a leak, and then we're gonna go for a boat ride.
It's a perfect order to do it in right there.
A perfect order.
Yeah.
He has a plan.
Yep, a man with a plan.
Watch, I'll probably catch one in 2 or 3 casts, and I'll be thinking I fished over a bunch of them,
How many times Dean is leaving his bait, worked that bait up and down? I'd say 20 times.
Yeah, he's pumping it.
I bet he's caught a big fish there, or had a good bite there, something going on. He's not been leaving his bait in one place that much. But it's the perfect setup. That picture right there is what I look for anytime I go to Florida. You got pads, you got hydrilla, you've got reeds, you've got it all right there. perfect place for a big fish to be.
I'm looking, either Greg Hackney's running right now, or he is real close to Ott Defoe. Like they're close on the map to each other. So he's either running by Ott at some point, or he's fishing that general area too, and they've kind of closed the gap between each other. But they're probably within the distance, you know that.
And Ott's kind of in between Clewiston and Okeechobee City.
Yeah,
closer to Clewiston.
For sure. If you look at the map of Clewiston, he's right there near the name.
These guys know that one fish, 29 weigh-in means everything. I can just feel it. They sense it. They feel it. One bite.
Had a flurry of fish catching about an hour and 15 minutes ago. A few fish caught right there in that time, and
the moon was tilted just right.
The moon just finally got turned into the right spot.
That's right.
Just a heads up, guys. Christie's weight, he has like 10 pounds, not 24. I think the marshal actually put in 10 pounds birthday, so just ignore Christie. I'm trying to take it out real quick before you guys. Christie's 9 pounds.
I missed it altogether. It must have just popped in there, huh?
I saw it, and I thought,
It
wow.
just popped in, Christie, with 26.8, but there's a snafu.
I noticed it. I thought, wow, he finds a way to make Sunday.
That's right.
He really does.
This guy's tough.
Or got a great marshal, one or the other.
Yeah, no kidding.
There's that combination I mentioned again. Pads, hydrilla, reeds.
Okay. We saw an interesting stat laid out for us yesterday. You know, all the talk, all the expectations, all the poor mouthing that you hear in advance of the tournament said it wasn't going to be as strong, not even close as it was in 2012. But we take a look at the real stats, and this is what we looked at yesterday. The 20-pound bags, day one, hey, more this year, more of them. Day two, way more of them.
That's amazing to me, because not only the sandbagging from the fishermen, but the time of year, the mild winter, things that all contribute. I certainly thought it would have taken less weight this year also, but these guys just keep on amazing you with the heavy stringers. And the weights from day one to day two, like I mentioned earlier, years ago, would always drop off some. They just keep getting better and better each day now.
As a reference to 12, like you guys were talking about, there, you know, day two for 2012, eight 20-pound bags. Yesterday we had 12. So day two of 12, 6 19-pound bags and 3 18-pound bags. Very similar numbers this year, but a lot more 20. So the gap between 16 to 20, a lot of guys are leaning more to 20. You know, you're not seeing a lot of random 16 to 18s. You know, it's going to be you're either 20 or you're 16. Nowhere in between, really.
And I know when you open that live well, 16 pounds versus opening 20 pounds is very different looking.
Yeah.
That 4 pounds extra on those 5 fish.
Oh my gosh.
Makes you smile for sure.
Jeff Crete with dead on 20 pounds and an ounce today. And he's, as it stands now, he's just a couple of places out of the top 12.
Dean's moving more than he has all day since we've been on him. He's
seen him down there spawning. Yeah.
Yep.
He says he saw one spawning.
Sees him down there, he says. Spawning.
This is interesting. He said he saw one down there spawning. He's casting that bait and just reeling it right over, with a heavy sinker. Just reeling it right over the top of the fish, maybe. He's made several casts. Does he have his chatterbait on? Or?
I can't tell.
Looks like he's still got the
we need to.
Texas rig fighting frog on, and I've never seen him fish for one on the bed, but he's moving.
He might be circling back around in a couple minutes. Yeah, he's like fishing along. He might just turn back around in a second. Like he didn't want to just stop right on it because he spooked it.
Yeah, I think he's throwing his vibrating jig and just
covering some ground.
Yep. Looking for some fish, maybe. Since he saw the one, maybe it wasn't a big one. He's covering a little ground, looking for one to sight fish. Yeah, he's definitely looking there.
Just got a few minutes left in our Bassmaster Live coverage today. It would be a good opportunity to take some more questions from our friends, everybody who's interactive, joining us on social media today and posing a few questions. Here you go. You think Timmy's pressing or fishing a little fast? I think I asked you that too. 2 or 3 times per flip jigging versus yesterday's 3 to 5 times. Somebody's being very specific with the counting there, I'm telling you.
I've noticed a little difference, and we all change a little bit when you lose a 9-pounder for sure. But I think he's done okay. I don't think he's pressed too much. We talked about when you're fishing in that heavy cover, you're going to lose some fish, and unfortunately, it's all piled on him today. He had a day yesterday like you can't expect to have, land every single fish that you're having bite. Some techniques. A Carolina rig in open water, you're not going to lose many fish, very, very few. But when you're flipping heavy cover, you're going to lose some of those fish. And I don't know if I would say he was pressing so much as just had a little bit of bad luck.
What 4 lures would you have tied on for tournaments in the South around where we live? I don't know where you live, Jim Rebels. Let's say you live in Okeechobee. What would you have tied on?
Maybe because he mentioned my name where we live. He's a South Carolinian.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. So if you're out on Murray, what 4 lures would you have tied on today, Davey?
I've always got a jig tied on, a mop jig if I'm fishing around home, Lake Murray, Clark Hill, those sort of things. I'm always have a mop jig. I'm always going to have a Senko on. This time of year, a spinnerbait and or a vibrating jig. And then number 4, a DT6, a crankbait. Right. So a little mixture of all of them.
All right. What tournament do you think is and will be more difficult than Lake Okeechobee or Michigan's Lake St. Clair?
I think there are going to be great tournaments.
Oh, well, this one's been great.
Similar, like Zona said, they're similar, although they're so far away. But I also think you'll see some guys that don't have, just 8 to 10 pounds a day is all they can do. Really good fishermen. Then you're going to see some big sacks of smallmouth at Lake St. Clair.
Certainly was the way it worked last time.
Very similar tournaments, brown fish versus green fish, but heavyweights to win, and see some guys that you'll be amazed that they won't catch any more than they do.
It seems like a different place, different area in Lake St. Clair is where the tournament is won each time. We've been there as well. It's never in the same spot. There are community holes there. There are productive places just like on Okeechobee, but St. Clair seems to mix it up year to year.
It does. That's so true, Tommy. The year I won at St. Clair, I've been back there 3 or 4 times since then. And that area I had all to myself for a reason. It was the only time I think those fish have ever been in that little depression that I fished at Lake St. Clair. I was fortunate enough to win one time, but it has cost me a lot of practice days and even some hours in some tournaments trying to go back there and recreate the victory that I had there. Similar to Okeechobee, you know, it'll change from year to year, and you never know which section of lake because there's different areas that those fish migrate to because of water qualities. Very similar there.
Yeah, that's Lake St. Clair is part of our smallmouth slam at the end of the year. We're going to have St. Clair. We're going to have Waddington, New York. Also going to going back to Mille Lacs. Let's take a look right now at our Power Pole play of the day, replay of the day. Doesn't change. It was the same thing yesterday all day long, and boy, it's got to be this one again today. Timmy Horton in command, and then this happens.
Looks exactly like the replay of the day yesterday, except the ending.
The result.
Everything looks the same.
Oh. How different is his day if he catches that?
About 9 pounds worth,
at least.
Yeah, it
9 pounds
everything.
we know of. Yeah.
I mean, the way he approached it the rest of the day.
Honestly, the hook set about 11 o'clock off the bow of his boat, just like yesterday. 8, 9 pounder, just like yesterday. He's thinking just like the first 2 days, catching 8 pounder first bite.
He'd have a mid-70 bag and a double-digit lead. That's probably how it would go down.
Yeah. And it's happened to everyone. You know, you only get when it's on TV, when you're in the lead, when you've knocked their lights out the day before, it's all amplified, and
it is.
And we're doing the job of amplifying it for Timmy.
You know, it looks like we're picking on Timmy today, showing him lose that fish.
Yep.
We showed him catching the big fish yesterday morning, over and over again. You know, it's the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, but it's not defeat. It's just a little setback for him. He's still got the lead.
Our top 12, the leaderboard for today. Let's take a look at it right now. Has it changed much? We got some adjustments made. We got some mistakes fixed right there, and Timmy Horton still on top.
From 11th place to 16th place, 5 ounces difference.
Wow. 5
Tight.
ounces
It's going to be a
difference.
battle to get in that top 12 tomorrow.
The thing about that, the 5 ounce difference is tight, but the opportunity to fish tomorrow, and we've talked about anyone in the top 12 could win. So that 5 ounces and puts you in 16th could cost you the win. People don't think about that very often. Most places you can't recover from that deficit, but you certainly could here.
Usually we look down past 7 and you don't see much hope for anybody. You see anything happening. Anything is possible within the realm of possibility on the final day, and that's what we're looking for. Everyone knows it's going to be a big day. What are you looking forward to the most, Ronnie?
Well, it's interesting to see what this lead might expand to. Coming into today, 1st to 12th was over 20 pounds, and with it being 15, it's kind of scrunched everyone up. So I think that so many people are in the game, but I'd like to see if Andy Montgomery's 10-pounder is a 10-pounder. That's what I want to see a double digit. So I want to, that might be the first one we have this week.
We saw Adrian Avina on the final day last year, I believe it was, at Bull Shoals and Norfolk.
I'm sticking with my 9.5 prediction for big fish.
9.5, okay.
9.5.
All right, 9.5 on big fish.
Still standing strong.
So far.
Yes, standing strong.
You are absolutely dead on. We got a David Fritz in there. We got a legacy guy in there. Absolutely,
Yeah,
David Fritz in there right now, but he's going to have to, hold on tight. There's going to be some white knuckle moments for all of these guys who are trying to make it into the top 12. And like you say, Davey, you don't make it, you may have missed a win. We can't say that every time.
Nope, you certainly can't. That was a cool picture. B Height, he's made a little comeback today. Doesn't look like he's going to make it in our top 12, but
he was
barely missing out. Like I say, less than 5 ounces out of the 12 cut. If he catches one fish here in this last hour, he'll certainly be there.
3:15 p.m. today, Eastern Time. That's when Dave Mercer's going to round them up. We're going to get those 51 to cross the stage and get our top 12 set for the final day of this event right here. Very important. Get those points. Get yourself in line for maybe the only trophy you've got a shot at all year long. I mean, to have a shot at 2 wins is totally extraordinary. If you get one shot, I mean, you've got to give it everything you got. You don't leave anything on the table. Wes Miller helping himself to some hydration there.
We caught Wes taking a break.
Yeah, and Stephen didn't even see it. That's the way to do it right there. He knows all the tricks, Wes does.
That wasn't Wes with the awkward fist bump with Dean Rojas this morning. It was someone else.
It was Eric Kafka.
Eric Kafka.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Chewbacca impersonator.
Right. Eric Chewbacca Kafka, as he will heretofore be
I've got
known.
one in there. I'm gonna drink, eat on the way home.
Being the nice cameraman that he is, he offered to get Stephen a drink, but he's not going to take 30 seconds to drink a little water. That's how focused he is and knows that one bite could change things in a big way.
Angler of the Year points. We talk about how different it is this year than, say, the last couple of years. And there's our points totals after the day 2 of fishing today. That'll all change today. Some of it will change for sure. Ott Defoe on top, certainly the guy in charge. And Momentum Man, as we've referred to him over the last 2 events there. Randall Tharp, everyone saying the rest of the season sets up for him. He hasn't been able to quite convert it here at Okeechobee, but he's hung in there and made himself a cut. That's important.
How many years has it been since, after 2 tournaments, we don't, in the top 12 AOY points, we don't have Kevin Van Dam, Edwin Evers, Skeet Reese. I can name a few others that you expect them to be there.
We actually only have one former Angler of the Year winner on this top 12 list right now, and that's Hackney sneaking in at the bottom. So I think it's a lot of new guys, and it's just somebody who's going to get an AOY or somebody who's going to get a win. 6th place right there, Jordan Lee. It's impressive everywhere you go, fishing way beyond his years.
Jordan Lee and Hank Cherry always finds himself, more times than not, more years than not, in that top 12 as no matter where in the season you look into that list.
This group is amazing too. You don't see those names, 99th to 110th.
That's the Chris Lane to me is perhaps the most surprising.
The guys I mentioned, absolutely. The guys I mentioned not being in the top 12, and these guys here I'm certain will tell you real quick, it's only 2 tournaments. Things are going to change.
That's right. That's right. And of course, we got a classic to sort of wipe your mind clean of all the indignities of the first 2 tournaments there. Takahiro Amori. People talk about him at Lake Conrail. If it turns into one of those shallow crankbaits thing. Oh, we had Stephen Browning hooked up right there. But let's go back to him real quick. See what this turns out to be.
Goober.
Nope.
Okay.
Small one.
Not a helper right there.
Ratty-tat-tat.
Getting those last casts in before you start to think about heading on back in. Timmy Horton and old Dean Rojas will be wrapping up flip number 1249 for the day pretty soon. On their way, about 20 minutes, you say, Davey, to get back across there in reasonable weather.
Calm weather. Sure, it makes a big difference. If you can flat out run 70 plus miles an hour or 35 to 40 miles an hour for sure. But I'm still saying one of these guys is going to catch a big one to change things up before they go across the stage with Dave Mercer. And I'm excited about tomorrow. This is my first gig on this side of the table, and I think it's going to be very interesting tomorrow. Tightening up is good for us because it's exciting, that's for sure.
No doubt. All right, we're back in the studio. One more thanks to you for spending part of your weekend with us, Saturday, Sunday. We've got a lot available for you, a lot on our plate, a lot of things to settle, and of course 3:15 today. Don't forget Dave Mercer takes us all the way through the weigh-in. The 51 anglers remaining out here. We're going to be shooting for those 12 spots. And those 12 spots, we can't say this enough. This is one of those deals where just about anyone, given the right circumstances, can jump up and win it.
Don't miss Timmy Horton's first bite tomorrow morning. For 3 days in a row, it's been 8+ pounds.
That's exactly right. That is a great point right there. 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 a.m. Central. We will be on and we'll be out to Timmy Horton by at least 6:15 Central Time. So don't miss that. If you want to set the clock, you might want to think about doing it right now. Thanks to everyone who's been a part of our show today. We got a big day for you tomorrow, and we will see you Bassmaster Live.
Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I know I shouldn't have, but I had to.